Super Bowl 57.
If you want Chiefs, follow the leader. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Print the hats, print the t-shirts, wear them for Halloween if you'd like. It is mid-October and the AFC West is over. The Kansas City Chiefs victorious over the Los Angeles Chargers, never in a way that anyone would confuse with a normal game, never any chance that it was going to be the easiest, least stressful path possible for a game involving two of the two best teams in the AFC West and two of the best quarterbacks in the AFC. You saw moments when the Chargers reminded you, hey, this is actually a football team that has a lot of firepower. This is actually a Chargers team that has a lot of threats to offer. This is an interesting unit. But they're also not the Chiefs. It really is amazing, and I'm really not being hyperbolic. I am done with the division. It would take such a massive collapse that I think is so completely unfathomable, so wholly unrealistic, that I am ready to start seeing bootlegged AFC West Championship merch way before the NFL will ever officially print it. You can get it again when that comes around. That'll be fun. I think divisional merch is always fun because it reminds you of the reign of dominance the Chiefs have had over the West since Andy Reid got to town. Certainly the Patrick Mahomes era has been a thrill in that regard. AFC championships and Super Bowls notwithstanding, that's obviously the height of achievement in this beautiful sport. But don't ever let it be forgotten that it is so rare for an AFC West opponent, not even to outlast the Chiefs for a season, but to merely get one over on the Chiefs, that I think you can probably remember most of those losses with decent clarity, because there just aren't very many to go back to. Now, it's funny because my time as a youngin' growing up as a Chiefs fan, and statistically speaking, most of our childhoods as Chiefs fans, except for any, 10-year-olds listening to the show right now, most of our childhoods as Chiefs fans were spent wondering if the division was in play. And when there was AFC West merch, you had to get it because you were not going to wait too long to see if you were going to get anything beyond that. But with the way the AFC West has acquitted itself today, even as, and I saw 5 seconds of this game, so I don't know how it happened, but even as the Denver Broncos get by the Green Bay Packers with a victory, 19-17. That game looks like it just went final. I don't know how it happened. The Broncos were up, and then the Packers were up, and the Broncos won. Obviously not a concern. The Raiders are in a state of disrepair that is hard to exaggerate. Last year, they lost to Jeff Saturday. And today they lose to the Chicago Bears without Justin Fields, with Tyson Bagent. And the Chargers, even as someone myself who typically leans toward appreciating what makes the Chargers fun rather than accentuating what makes them inept, I really like Justin Herbert. I love a lot of the skill position players that the Chargers always have around him. They've got a couple great pass rushers. The Chargers have all of the pieces you would want if you were trying to build a contending team. And it just never quite gels. However, it all comes together. And if you have some amount of concern right now that I'm calling it too early, I'm telling you that the 6-1 Chiefs, whose one loss is to an NFC opponent, have absolutely put the clamps on the 3-4 Raiders and the 2-4 Chargers, and the allegedly, it still hasn't gone final on the box score on ESPN. allegedly the 2-5 Broncos. They'll get the Broncos again. They'll get the Chargers again. They'll get the Raiders. And LA is the only team in this division who had any semblance of a chance of catching Kansas City. There's another AFC West game, the second one against the Broncos, coming up on the 29th, before Halloween, where the Chiefs will have yet another chance to put some distance between them and the rest of the division, and I'm telling you, they're just not going to need it. Now, look, the games that are going to really matter are going to be in January and hopefully February. The Dolphins and Eagles games over the course of 3 weeks, but back-to-back games, obviously taking the bye after the Dolphins game in Germany. Those games are going to be big. The Bills in December is going to be big. The Bengals on New Year's Eve are going to be big. But we are just going to wait on the AFC West as a formality. Because of where the Chiefs stand in the standings right now, 6 in a row after losing that opening game against the Lions, and because of where the rest of the division is, and because of what we have seen from the Chiefs to this point. This is the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. I am Joshua Brisco. Dylan Michaels is taking your calls on the other side of the glass, and Covell Hudson producing around the building as well. Appreciate you being here with us this afternoon. We will talk plenty about the Chiefs' victory over the Los Angeles Chargers, 31-17, and there are a ton of individual performances that deserve to be discussed here, but it is just a very peak prime Patriots thing to say a division has ended before Halloween. And it's just where the Chiefs are right now. Offense looked pretty good. Now, most of that happened in the first half. And this is, again, at this point, borderline predictable. We're, always cutting highlights over the course of the game to make sure we have plenty of the good stuff to bring you over the course of the show here tonight. And Dylan and I talked at halftime, and Dylan said something like, well, even if they play some 1960s football from here, we got plenty of highlights, so we're good on that. I said, yeah, and I also think that's probably exactly what's going to happen. And that is exactly what happened. Not necessarily going back, 4, 5, 6 decades. But a second quarter where these two teams combined for 35 points, and then the Chargers didn't score again. The Chiefs touchdown to Isaiah Pacheco late in the game, the only other score to speak of. It's a weird feeling because I just told you that I kind of like the Chargers, generally speaking. I am not a Justin Herbert hater. I really at least appreciate the fact that of all the teams in the NFL who have a chance to erase a deficit in a couple of possessions, they're pretty high on the list of teams who can do that. And even then, it felt like every time I looked at the scoreboard, I was surprised by the score because it did not match how I was feeling watching this game. It was always close, and I'll be interested to take the calls and see if this is a common feeling or not. But 3-0, 3-3, 10-3, 10-10, 17-10, 17-17, 24-17. This was a one-possession game until that Pacheco touchdown. I don't have the time in front of me, but late in the fourth. And I think I know why that is. Big picture, and then we'll, again, get some of the individual performances. We'll take some calls. We'll bring you the pressers from Arrowhead, all that good stuff. But I think what it was for me today, fairly or unfairly, or correctly or incorrectly, the second quarter of this game showed me a version of the Chiefs' offense that we had been desperately searching for the vast majority of this season. There was a minute in there where it felt like a throwback to 2018 on both sides of the ball. Mercifully, that didn't last very long, and I didn't actually think the defense was falling apart. But that's the other side of it. We saw some big chunk plays we got some easygoing offensive successes. We saw the out of structure find MVS on the opposite side of the field from where he was supposed to be at the original point of the play. We saw Travis Kelce just living in space and catching every single football thrown to him until right there toward the end when that streak ended. We saw Rashee Rice make some excellent plays, including a touchdown. We saw vintage-feeling Chiefs offense all the way to one of those goal line plays that makes you just hold your breath for a second, and then you realize it's in Travis Kelce's hands and that things are probably going to be okay. All of that, specifically that second quarter, because the offense did stall out, it did bring at least a little cause for concern. But all of that happens on the offensive side of the ball, and I take what I already know about this Chiefs defense, which is that they are not one bad drive away from completely falling apart. Beyond that, they got better today because Charles Omenihu is back. And I'll give it to him, ladies and gentlemen. Charles Omenihu is a dude. Spags talked about it on Thursday, just having a couple of absolute wacky inflatable arm-waving men from your local car dealership just in the middle of the passing lanes for Justin Herbert. 6'5", 6'6", whatever those two dudes are, being Chris Jones and Omenihu side by side. I don't know how you throw passes past Godzilla or those robots from Pacific Rim. Like that's what the Chiefs have in that sub-package. Jones and Omenihu on the interior, Karlaftis and Dana on the edges. I saw Felix a couple of times. We'll wait to hear from on the injury status of Nick Bolton. Obviously, not ideal. Drew Tranquill has been playing excellent football when he's had to be in for Bolton so far this year, so I don't anticipate it being a huge step back for the Chiefs' defense. Obviously, you hope he's okay and back shortly. If it looked like it was some sort of broken wrist type of deal, just the way it all panned out, but we'll wait to hear, and as soon as we have the details on that, we'll certainly let you know. But I bought what the defense was selling through the first 6 weeks of this season. And then you have that second quarter with really two big chunk plays, which we hadn't seen before in this season. These were the outliers, and they happened pretty close together. In fact, they happened on back-to-back drives. On the third drive for the Chargers offense, at midfield, Drew Tranquill gets blocked up in the hole. Justin Reid misses, maybe starts moving the wrong direction first, and Joshua Kelly houses it. Next drive, Josh Palmer, wide open, bomb, 60 yards, a lot of that being yak. The Chargers then, 3rd and goal, get that touchdown to Gerald Everett. Joshua Williams got beat on that play. Okay, fine. Now, when that was the 3rd and 4th defensive drive of the game, the 3rd and 4th offensive drive for the Chargers, it would have been reasonable for you to go, okay, so it's 17-17. The defense has fallen off a cliff. What's going to happen here? And then after that, the Chiefs defense just slammed the door over and over and over and over again. And that's what they are. Great defenses are going to give up a couple of big plays. It's really incredible that the Chiefs hadn't done that so far this year. But after it went 17-17, you get the Omenihu sack, the Dana Karlaftis pressure, great McDuffie open field tackle, ends in a punt. The Chiefs score before the half, get the ball back again, so the Chiefs defense gets a nice long break. The Chargers get all the way to the red zone. Then 3rd and goal, Omenihu batted pass, pick, Chiefs ball. Next drive, 3 and out. Next drive, 3 and out. Almost a Mike Edwards pick six. Next drive, 3 and out. Next drive, ball game, Brian Cook pick. If there's something else you would like to see from a contending defense supporting a superb offense, each time the Chargers touched the ball in the second half, each drive, 11 plays in a pick, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 9 plays in a pick. That was the second half of Los Angeles Chargers offensive football today, after the Chiefs did suffer 2 big plays that they haven't been giving up this year. So for me, when I say it just doesn't really feel like this game was that tight, that's what I'm looking to. The offense found its spark again. Did they throttle back a little bit in the second half? I don't know. Treating the Chargers and Broncos aren't in the same way would be a little bit silly. And they play the Broncos so shortly apart, those 2 games. Not the same with the Chargers. They see them again last game of the season. That game very well may not matter. It certainly won't matter for the AFC West. May matter for AFC top seeding, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But although right now, I mean, that's gonna depend on Miami, really. Buffalo losing to the Patriots today was an excellent gift in AFC shuffling. And there's still plenty of time for weird stuff to happen. You know, the Jags being 5-2. The Ravens looked great today. They're 5-2. The Dolphins are going to have to get the Chiefs in Germany. All that to say, we saw the Chiefs offense look like the Kansas City Chiefs offense. And we saw the defense look like whatever happened to the Kansas City Chiefs defense in 2023. It's really a fantastic, complete game the Chiefs just put up there. And I'm really excited to talk about it for quite a while. We got a full board of calls. If you guys hold on there, I think I want to sneak in an early break here to make sure we can get everything on the right schedule. We'll take some calls. We'll hear all the pressers from Arrowhead. We'll hear from the locker room at some point as our own Stephen St. John is out there. He already caught up with Dante Hall, inducted into the Chiefs Hall of Fame today. So we will hear from him at some point. Plus, we'll talk to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest later on as well. A lot to break down in the game that unofficially, in my personal record book, clinched the AFC West for the 900th consecutive year. Yes, this time a full week before Halloween. Another game still to be had against the Broncos. The Chiefs won't need it because they're going to handle their business in the way they handled it today. 31-17 when both sides of the ball did exactly what you wanted them to do. It's a good place to take a quick timeout. We'll do that next. We'll take the timeout now. We'll come back, take your calls, talk about everything else next. Joshua Brisco, Dylan Michaels, Covell Hudson with you here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show.
speed of this defense shines every time you watch them.
3rd and goal.
Pass intercepted. Batted in the air by Omenihu. And the Chiefs come away with it. Snead has the football at the 10-yard line.
Wow, and the Chiefs lead the league in batted passes with 11. Here's 12. Outstanding ability to recognize right when the quarterback's going to throw. Omenihu making a huge difference.
You could say Tony Romo misspoke there. I'd say Omenihu is exactly correct. That's our defensive play of the game, brought to you by Schlegel Fence. Schlegel Fence, as Kansas City's preferred fence company, has been serving the KC metro areas for over a decade, offering security and style. Call 816-863-6159 or go to schlegelfence.com for your free estimate. You're talking about security and style. That is truly what the Chiefs defense brought today. Charles Omenihu in the middle of that defensive line is a problem. The Chiefs defense that has been at least arguably the best unit on this team this year, up through today, it got better today because their second best pass rusher returned today. And it's not because they re-signed Frank Clark, which hasn't happened yet, although I think it probably eventually will. Charles Omenihu being back is a big deal. We talked about it some this week. We've been talking about him for a long time. You saw the immediate impact in the passing lanes, in the pressures, in the sack. Huge day for Charles Omenihu. Huge day for the Chiefs defense that is still not allowed more than 20 points this year. 21 points scored by the Detroit Lions in week 1, but a pick 6 there knocks that down if you want to keep doing that fun math with me. Chiefs defense is a problem. We've said that in years past. We meant it was a problem for the Chiefs. Right now, the Chiefs' defense is a problem for other teams, and that is an exciting place to be. Let's open things up here on the phones. We'll kick it off with Butch. Butch, tell me how you're feeling, sir.
Gentlemen, how about those Chiefs?
How about them, Butch?
Look at this. Will you see how the tides have turned here in Kansas City? Preseason favorites Willie Gay and McCole Hardman making game-changing plays, just like we all predicted, right? Look, I think this is, again, I have no words for what we're seeing here. Difference makers. Charles Omenihu, difference maker. Drew Tranquill, difference maker. Ha-ha to you, Brandon Staley, for letting him leave. Guys that actually can show up on the football field and change the tides. One thing that I don't think I heard yet that I hope you get to is how desperate that Chargers team was. I mean, everybody was out. Derwin James probably doesn't play today if not for the desperation that goes into this game. They know what this loss means for their chances to make the playoffs. And, guys, you weathered the storm. If it weren't for a Josh Kelly bounce back on lead outside zone that led to a broken play for a touchdown, I'm not sure really what else they had, because their other big plays were a back shoulder to Josh Palmer that was actually an OPI, another back shoulder to Quentin Johnson, who went on the back of a milk carton after that, and then a play-action deep shot off of that run action. And then the second half adjustments, man, we really locked them down. So they really didn't have a whole lot. And I'll tell you, man, the rest of the schedule, who else is better than Justin Herbert at quarterback that we're going to play? Now, I can't say definitively Tua, even though he's in a great offense. I don't know, man. I keep finding, we keep seeing the fruits of the labor between this coaching staff in this front office, and it comes through in games like this. And then I'll touch quickly on the offense. Look, they still have an issue, clearly, with finding out who they want to throw the ball to on these critical third downs. I mean, they started to poach safeties to Travis Kelce's way in the second half. That's why he wasn't as explosive. That's part of the reason why I think the offense wasn't as clicking as it was in the second half as it was in the first half. But I'll tell you what, I'm glad that Patrick Mahomes has another 400-yard, 4-touchdown game, making him one of like 5 quarterbacks in league history to have at least 5 of those. I tell you that I like that Patrick Mahomes took a deep shot to McCole Hardman, even though it got that are slowly developing to where if this offense does reach what this defense has already realized, we're not just talking about a Super Bowl caliber team. We're talking about one of the better teams to ever suit up in this Chiefs' glorious history. savor, the flavor, my guy.
Butch, appreciate it as always, my friend. I tell you what, really, this is the game so far this year that gives me the most confidence in that Super Bowl caliber team. Talking about Super Bowl caliber team plus Super Bowl caliber team and one of the best teams that this city's ever seen. It's funny because I don't think you're terribly off base, Butch, but it's wild because so much of this season has been a little bit unsatisfying. A very satisfying win for the Chiefs over the Chargers here today. Next up, we got Dan. Dan, tell me how you're feeling, man.
Hey, Joshua, how you doing? I'm feeling pretty good. Way to go for the defense, lights out in the second half, And the first half was a little bit, it was off and on. But, I think I knew Spags would make the adjustments. And Almeida was really force on the defensive line to make the tip. And then was it the other Jerry Sneed with the interception. And the offense really looked good. Kelsey with the big 143 yards and a touchdown. And great to see Valdez Scantling with the touchdown. And thanks, Robert Saleh, for not using McCole Hardman. Long enough. I don't know. That didn't make sense. Why didn't Saleh play McCole Hardman, Joshua? It didn't make no sense. Well, let's take care of the Broncos. Take care of yourself, Joshua.
Dan, I appreciate it, sir. I don't know what was going on in New York. I think that experiment, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. I think McCole Hardman's going to have a lot more to do here in Kansas City the rest of the way, and I think everyone's pretty happy with that. Next up, we got Gary. Gary, how you feeling, man?
Feeling pretty good. I like what I'm seeing defensively. They were able to make some adjustments at the half, come out, shut them down. You've held every team you've played to 20 points or less. And it's not like this is 30, 40 years ago where the offenses were just ground and pound. I mean, these are offenses that are putting ball in the air, and they're putting up yards, and this defense is just clamping down on them. You really can't complain about the defense. Karlaftis.
He got you a sack today, Gary. He got you a sack today.
He did. Yes, he did, and I was very happy about that. Now, the one thing, I hate to be Mr. Gloom and Doom.
No, you don't. You love it. It's okay.
But we had two big plays wiped out today because of penalties by the offensive line.
Yep, totally
We had
fair.
the big touchdown, and I think the penalties, they all happened on scoring drives. One happened, two of them happened in the red zone. The one where, McKinnon's wasn't. They weren't in the red zone, but it was, he did it. He committed the penalty. And then the other one on the long run by Pacheco that could have kept that drive going earlier in the fourth quarter because of the hold by Trey Smith. And then wasn't there another one in the red zone? Didn't Trey Smith get called for one, or was it somebody else?
I think there might be. There was a handful of them, though. You're right. I think that's totally fair.
But the offensive line's got to clean. That's something that can be cleaned up.
Yep.
It's not like it's an issue. It's something that can be cleaned up. But, man, if McCole Hardman doesn't get a game ball today, it was only two plays, but how big were those two plays that he made in this game? I'll hang up and listen. Great show, Josh.
Gary, I appreciate you, man. It's always good to hear you happy. It makes me happier. I swear, I when Karlaftis got that sack, I was excited for your call, and I'm glad we got to talk about some of the positives. I'm writing down notes from all you guys. I want to try to make sure everybody gets a chance to sound off here, and then I'll kind of sift back through just the way that all this goes. But I'm taking copious amounts of notes here, and it continues for George. George, tell me how you're feeling, sir.
It's nice to be able to call with just small good things to say. It's the little things that count today.
It really is.
By the way, I think it was the Tomey penalty that drove back the touchdown.
Ah, okay.
Okay, no big thing, though. Fortunately, no big thing. Right. But speaking of penalties, isn't it nice that number 74 not only wasn't called for anything, but he actually helped Kelsey on a play leaving the end zone when they were backed up?
Yep.
And they even showed that on TV. They even commented that on TV. I have a new Christmas present you need to get, sir.
Okay, tell me about it.
Chiefs logo ear protectors for your soon-to-be kids. Did you see those?
No, I didn't.
When they were showing Taylor and Mahomes' wife, he had the kids up there, and they all had ear protectors on.
With little Chiefs logos. Okay, I didn't miss that. I missed that detail.
Yeah, so now you know.
Okay, good to know.
Also, real scattergun. Yes, props to Omenihu, props to Hardman, especially on the day that they were celebrating Dante Hall with the nice run back that he did.
Yes, so good.
Did you, another thing, very, very small little thing. Mahomes cheered on and congratulated the point-after team after they came off the field. He was there waiting for them to give them slaps on the back and high fives.
Mm-hmm.
That's just character.
Yeah.
That's just saying, hey, everybody counts on this team.
Yep.
I like that. Miami is going to be the only real game that we need to worry about because, again, I'm hopeful. I don't know what's going to happen tonight because one of the teams tonight is going to be 5-2. And so I kind of mixed emotions. I wanted to be the Eagle.
Yeah.
Jack Buck can't pronounce names. He had terrible trouble today with Rice. And
I kind of like Charles Owinahu. I've come around on that one,
I like
honestly.
Owinahu. That's fine.
I like Owinahu.
He's saying Karlaftis instead of Karloftis.
Yeah.
Just little things. And no, it's just been a nice game. It was very pleasant.
It was? Okay, it wasn't just me then. I wasn't on the edge of my seat. I was enjoying some quality football.
I'll tell you what it really felt like, and maybe this will put it in perspective. It felt like a middle part of a nice two-point basketball game, going back and forth, back and forth. That's, watching a nice, I don't even know which teams would be good at it in the Big 12.
Sometimes you're trading threes, like, oh, that's a nice shot, a foul and the and one, but it's just back and forth. You're right, it felt kind of like that.
Back and forth on the team. That's all it felt like. Yeah. So, guys, it's good. Enjoy it while it lasts. Yes, we don't want to let people slide. We don't want to get people hurt. Thank you. Let's pray for Mr. Bolton.
Yes, absolutely.
We don't want to get people hurt. We want to make sure that everybody stays normal and well and healthy, and Taylor and Travis keep smiling at each other, and all's well with the world until January.
We'll get there eventually, George. I appreciate it, my friend.
Adios.
Okay, so Andy Reid said it's a dislocated wrist for Nick Bolton. We'll bring you the entire Andy Reid post-game presser and all of that coming up in a little bit, but that's news to me there. That's better, right? I'm guessing that means the x-rays came back negative. Again, we'll get you all the details on that. I will get the specifics, but a dislocated wrist feels a lot better than the broken one, to me at least. I guess it depends on the extent of the damage in there and everything. Probably means it's MRI time next. But Dylan, did you see, did they say that the x-rays were negative, or do we not have that detail yet?
Let me do some digging here.
Okay, Dylan's going to dig.
This is very recent that just came off because it was about
it is rapid fire out here.
Twitter.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on that, but that's a good start there for a dislocated wrist for Nick Bolton as opposed to a broken one. They were, I believe they said on the broadcast he was going straight to the x-ray machine. So again, means good news that it's not broken, and also again just the power of having depth on your defense, and certainly at a position as important as who's going to call the defensive plays, who's wearing the green dot. The fact that the Chiefs, honestly, and I really, really do not mean this as a slight to Nick Bolton, and again, obviously hope he is healthy and back soon, but the fact that there is not a significant drop-off from Nick Bolton to Drew Tranquill is an incredible thing for this defense, and Tranquill has acquitted himself very, very well. Next up here, we'll go to Rodney. Rodney, you're on 810. Tell me how you're feeling.
I am feeling awesome right now. But Josh, I might have to correct you on something.
Okay.
The Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquill, I don't think there's a drop-off at all. I just think they just switched to a different package. I think they switched to a different package, and that package leads to more of Brian Cook being in the middle. And also, I want to make a big correction to Chiefs Kingdom. I am not worried about Miami. Miami needs to be worried about this defense. Because the one thing that we saw here with the Chargers was averaging over 30 points a game. Everyone said it. Everyone talking about the Chargers are going to be the one who's going to put the points on them. They put up 17 points, and they slept, and this Chiefs defense slammed the door in their face, and the offense could not do nothing. Justin Herbert played desperate from the snap of the ball. He played desperate. They know that he needed this win. Him and the whole team know they needed this win more than anything. And they just went up against a dangerous defense. And also, you and Jason Anderson said it countless times. Get them while the offense is struggling. Get them while you can. If you can't get them and that offense starts clicking, good luck, goodbye, game over. This defense is nasty. Charles is trying to take over this defensive line with him and Chris moving from left to right, right to left. At this point, I don't think Steve Spagnuolo would come up with an excuse on how this defensive line is literally moving anywhere and everywhere. They are moving everywhere. Just depending on how they see the matchup in the backfield, they're moving everywhere. But this defense is nasty. Miami might got speed, but they do not have size. Brian Cook is a modern-day Ed Reed. You come across the middle, you're going to pay for it. you will pay for it. And I think this secondary is more built to slow down the speed other than height and size. So you saw Trent did struggle with the size a bit. Our DB did struggle with the size a bit. That's why the defensive line stepped up. But when it comes to speed, our secondary can equip with speed. I say Miami better be on the lookout for the Chiefs. And that's why the Eagles went after to go get Julio Jones. They know they need a win against them because they know they might end up seeing them twice. Teams are being built to go against the defense, but this offense is starting to click. If you want to double-team Travis Kelce, go ahead. Rasheed Rice is going to break your cornerback neck and run you over. That is a hard guy to bring down. The deep passes was there. Mahomes knew he overthrew him, but this is the first game he ever saw him. He never had the opportunity to sit here and throw the ball deep. Romo said it the whole entire game. Look how deep they're playing. You coming out of the huddle, you already 10 yards back. In the red zone, you 10 yards back. That's why Sky Moore, he's going to make a living off of those whip routes. The in routes, the out routes, he is the modern-day Julian Edelman. I hope he study his tape, become him, because he is a dangerous route runner right there in the intermediate route. But like I said, we said it before, get them while you can. Get the Chiefs while you can. This offense is starting to click, and they're going to get dangerous. And now the final piece is Justin Ross. And Mahomes know it, but it seems like they're saving it. This team is going to get dangerous. And it's funny, last point, it's funny that all they needed was McCole Hardman. That's all they needed was McCole Hardman. You never would have thought that. And I bet the most happiest guy on earth is Dave Toll. He lost his punt returner, but he didn't know he was getting back his upgrade. So right. I'm going to leave it right there.
Rodney, I appreciate you, man. Good stuff. We will take a holding pattern here on the calls, but Rodney, absolute treats as always. Again, I've been writing down what you guys have been talking about, and I want to be able to file that away. But it looks like Marquez Valdez-Scantling will be at the podium here any minute. We'll bring you that live. We'll bring all the rest of the press conferences live from here on out. Then we will circle back. If you're on hold right now, Derek, G, Frank, Jabba, we will get to you guys here in a little bit on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. It's the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. Joshua Brisco with you here across the glass from Dylan Michaels. Also, shout out to Covell Hudson in production as well. I almost called him Covell Production. Here's MVS wearing a headscarf.
Yeah. We had a play called. I was on the other side of the field. He got some pressure, and I kind of just worked with him and ran to the other side of the field, and he saw me. We made eye contact, and I said, hey, throw me the ball. And he threw it to me. Nah, I mean, it sounded right to me. I think he might have called the protection wrong for the running back or the chip or whatever it was, so the back might have went to the wrong side. So I think one of the defenders got underneath the initial throw. So I think the initial throw was there, but with the pressure, he kind of just got off of it, and I just kept working with him. Yeah, I mean, it's great. Obviously, we traded for him for a reason. He's a hell of a player. You know, me and McCole have a great, friendship that stayed true, even when he left. He was one of the first guys that I talked to when I got here. And so being able to, bring him back and, just enjoy his energy. He's a loud one. But, he's energetic and, his play shows, and he's electric, and you saw that today.
Similar question about Rasheed. It seems like he's progressing. What have you seen regarding his growth?
Just growth, man. I think Ford's doing a really good job of just doing what he's supposed to do and making the plays that he's supposed to make. Not trying to be anything that he's not. You see a lot of rookies come in and try to do too much and can't figure out, what the right thing to do, what's the wrong thing to do. He's just been doing his job, and it's been paying off for him. He's a quiet kid that, listens to what he's told to do and always wants to learn, always taking notes, and it shows, week in and week out, just him making the plays. And obviously, Pat trusts him to keep giving him the ball.
What's the biggest indicator that the offense is showing progress?
We scored 31 points, so I guess that's the biggest indicator. And obviously, that's our standard, from, what they've done in the past and what we did last year. And what our standard is as an offense. We just have so many talented players, from top to bottom, in every position room that you think that we should be able to score 30 points every week. And so, that's always our goal to, be the number one offense and win games.
What do you think enables? I know you've been kind of frustrated this season. Finally got to do. How are you feeling?
There's no frustration, man. We're winning games. Obviously, as a receiver, you want the ball every play. So if you want to say I'm frustrated, then I can say I'm frustrated every single play I don't get the ball. But we're winning games, and I don't take it too far. You're never going to see me throwing tablets on the sideline. I didn't get the football thrown to me. Obviously, there's plays where you like, hey man, I could have got this one or whatever it is, but there might ever be any visible frustration. And anything that is like that gets handled inside the building. You won't ever see me frustrated outside of it. So
to bounce off that, it kind of feels like when some guys say that I'm just working to my numbers card. It seems like that's kind of been your career. Like not every game you make an impact, but you make a big impact.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's just the way it goes. Obviously I've had a pretty long career, and I've averaged like 20 yards a catch my whole career. So there's going to be games where guys don't want me to get big plays, and that's just the reality of it. They're going to do anything they can to stop me from going 1 for 80. They'll let Travis or whoever catch 10 balls before they let me catch 1. And that's just been the name of the game. I've been one of the better deep threats in the league my whole career. So, I take it with pride, and I see the respect that I get from defenses across the league.
Couple more.
Along those lines, what do you think enables Travis to do what he does in a game where Chargers obviously are focused on him?
He's the best tight end in the NFL in the history of football. So there's not really much to say past that. He's the best to ever do it. So you can know where he's going to run, and he'll still get open.
It's one of the other a game like this, can that create a domino effect for you?
I don't know, man. Obviously, like I said, I want the ball every play. So if I can get all 60 passes thrown to me, I would. So I don't know. But we'll see what happens next week. I'm going against a good defense that held me to no catches. So.
Last one.
As one of the veterans in that room, when Justin goes down, is there a message you have to kind of galvanize the rest of the guys?
Nah, man. I think that as a room, we've all been in that position to rally around guys. But at the end of the day, we're so unique with how we operate as a receiver room. I don't think really a lot of teams do it how we do it, with the versatility and having 7 guys that can go in and play at any time. You usually see 3 or 4 guys active on our roster, maybe 5. So we got 7, 8 guys up every week. It's just kind of the next man up and go with your opportunities in front of you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Welcome.
There's Marquez Valdez-Scantling live from Arrowhead here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sounds like that's it for the podiums. Obviously, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes notwithstanding. We'll bring you them in mere moments. But first, we need to take a quick timeout of our own. Clock management, pretty solid today. Pretty solid for us so far as well. Feeling good about the way we're managing those. So we will take our brief break here, then we'll come back, and Derek, G, and Frank, you 3 still on hold. We'll take your calls first thing next break, plus a lot more to break down from the previous callers, and we'll hear from Reid and Mahomes very shortly. Matt, Derek, later on as we go as well. Chiefs 31, Chargers 17, in a game that really feels validating, revigorating, perhaps, complete. Both sides of the ball tonight, the Chiefs played excellent football against a really talented, deeply flawed, but really talented football team across from them. A lot to talk about, a lot to break down, and all good vibes all the way through here as the Chiefs are victorious, and in my personal record book, are also the champions of the AFC West once again.
They fake the handoff to McKinnon. Wasn't there what Mahomes wanted. Pass. There he is, Valdez-Scantling. He dives, and he's in for the touchdown.
Outstanding job by Valdez-Scantling of continuing to move throughout the play. He's on the entire opposite side of the field, Jim. And I want you to watch. He's down here. And because this guy has rare ability to extend plays, he's going to go ahead and allow him to go from one side of the field to the other. And that's why Patrick Mahomes is different than the rest of the world. And great job by Scantling, though, to continue on the route and never stop his movement.
He's something special. One could even say magic. That Magic Mahomes moment's brought to you by Champion Heating and Cooling. Keep your family warm this winter with their Champion Premium Furnace. Find your local Champion dealer at championhomecomfort.com, and don't forget to ask about their free 10-year parts and labor warranty. Always leading, never compromising, championhomecomfort.com. It really was quintessential, one could say, championship levels of Chiefs offense on that play right there. We just heard from MVS and his side of it. We'll hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in a little while as well. But first, we'll go back to the phones. Appreciate waiting on hold. Derek, G, and Frank will get through all three of you here, starting off with Derek. Derek, appreciate you waiting, sir. What's on your mind?
Hey, Josh. Hey, I was just calling, make a few comments here, make it quick for you. The wide receivers today, I felt like, have shown the most promise since the Bears game. I think Rice has come out and really shown what he can be in the future. Kind of reminds me of a Debo Samuel type. MVS had bounced back greatly, I think, today off of that broken play there for the touchdown. But one thing I'm still confused about, and I need you or Jason to kind of track this for me. The usage of Clyde just still confuses me a bit. I feel like when we were down, backed up against our end zone there, McKinnon would have been a better option. I think we're just very thankful that that pass was not thrown behind Mahomes and given up a touchdown there. But I just think that his usage, whenever he does get used, I don't know how many of those drives end up in 3-and-outs or punts or scores. So I think it'd be interesting to see his usage each drive and what that ends up turning into. But, hey, I just wanted to give out a shout to my buddy Chris if he's listening in. Long-time listener, first-time caller, so I appreciate and keep up the good work.
Derek, I appreciate that very much. Shout out to Chris, and thanks for calling. You're not the only one confused about the Clyde usage. I haven't had a chance to see what the snap numbers were this week. I will say that at least a couple of times this year, I have gone, wow, this is weird about the Clyde usage, and then have looked at the snap counts, and he has played by far the least of the three running backs. A couple of times it's been just a handful of snaps, but when he's on the field, it feels like the ball goes to him a pretty high percentage of the time, which is also kind of weird. I think in some level it's as simple as it's the NFL. You want to have three guys who can carry a little bit of the workload when you're a team that intends on playing into January. Like, that's just sort of a part of the mix. But it doesn't make it any more or any less frustrating when you have Isaiah Pacheco, who is explosive and violent and fun, and Jerick McKinnon, who, yeah, certainly, I think, backed up in your own end zone. You want to have the better pass protector if you want to throw from back there, the better receiver if you want to throw it to the running back from there. And if you want to just try to pound out a couple yards to get yourself some breathing room, then Pacheco would certainly be my call. And that's the frustrating and unfortunate thing right now, is that Clyde doesn't have a role when you're excited to see him. Running a route out of the backfield is probably the best of those scenarios, and like you touched on there, Derek, I mean, even today, the ball hit him in the face mask. Derwin James was closing down on him, and hey, if he catches that and gets lit up by Derwin James, maybe it's a safety. maybe he fumbles and it's a Chargers touchdown. I don't know. But I very much understand your confusion, because it's just not a very satisfying explanation. But I think that's mostly what it is. Which, hey, we're just going to rotate these three guys through, and it's pretty clear at this point that Clyde kind of has the least impact, the least in terms of like standout traits. That's been true for a while, unfortunately, and I think that's sort of the usage there. But I'm completely with you on the receivers showing some promise in this game. That's, again, and I'll try to figure out who said it earlier, but one of the callers earlier saying something along those same lines of, hey, this is an offense with these receivers. This is an offense still reaching for their ceiling, and we know how bleeping good the defense is. We're looking in a circus mirror right now, a funhouse mirror of Chief seasons. But I'm having fun here, so I guess the name actually kind of works. Next up here, we'll go to Frank. Frank, you're on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Frank, how you feeling, sir?
Thanks, brother. I just got to say, what a pleasure it is to be the kings of the AFC West yet again. It's basically done for. You talk about the Raiders, frauds. You talk about the Chargers, frauds. The Broncos, are you kidding me? This division is over. It's ours. We are 3 games up, baby. We have the king of the franchise, the Walrus, Andy Reid, the greatest coach this franchise has ever seen, brother. We are the kings of the AFC West yet again. I cannot wait to hoist that Lombardi for a second time in a row, brother. We're going to win it for a 3rd time in 5 years. I cannot wait. What a time to be alive.
What a time indeed, brother. Print the T-shirts. We got a lot of great local hat and T-shirt places around here. First one that starts printing 2023 AFC West Championship stuff gets a shout out. Send me one of them, and I'll wear it in postgame next week. I will fully embrace that. Go ahead and print 2023 AFC West Championship. We own the West. Do some sort of Southwestern hat thing. Yeah, that sounds pretty sick, actually. I'd like that a lot. Print it, make it, book it, sell it. Division over. Brother.
What you gonna do, brother?
Last call for a minute here. We'll go to G. G, tell me how you're feeling.
What are you going to do, brother? Yeah? What are you going to do, brother? I wasn't going to bring that up, Josh, so you brought it up.
Do, brother?
Right.
How you
What
feeling?
do, brother? Huh? Hey, Channel 15, there you go. Everybody talk about the D. Now Channel 15 is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
BP Pat. Your thoughts? McKinnon? Blow it up. How about that defense?
How about it?
How about it?
How about it, G?
How about it, Josh?
Hey, what do you think about a minute you tonight?
Dog. Dude. Dominant.
Killed it.
Little shout out to Lot J Tailgate Crew.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Lot J. Someday I'm going to make it out there. Someday I'm going to make it out to Lot J.
Lot J, turn up.
A minute you, I think a minute you, with Christians behind him, that defense just got better.
Yes, sir, it did. It absolutely did.
People kept saying Frank Clark. I'm like, why do we need Frank Clark? A minute you coming back, he's a super nice guy. I met him a couple of weeks ago. But he said, I'm going to, I'll be the man. I was like, show me. And he showed me tonight. And McCole Harmon back? I like the jet sweep better with McCole over Tony. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. And G, and I'm just going to assume G and F, maybe, I don't know. Appreciate the call from both of you guys. That one got Dylan. That made me feel good. If I can get Dylan to laugh through the glass, that's a winner for me. Appreciate the phone call. Appreciate you guys hanging out and calling in from Lot J. I think having McCole Hardman is fun. You saw impact on a big 3rd down. You saw the punt return. I think he told Aaron Ladd after the game that direct quote to the best of my ability that Dave Tobe was on his ass after letting the last one get past him. So McCole Hardman absolutely cashes that check on the return there late in the game. The 3rd down conversion was huge. It's weird seeing him wear number 12, but I'm already getting used to it. There is still more room for this team to improve from here, and I think we saw the most complete game they've had so far this season. And I think that's been reflected in the phone calls tonight, which also just makes me happy. This is the type of game, and for all of us around here, the type of post game that we've all been waiting for. Be dominant, be great, both sides of the ball at the same time. and a Chiefs defense that hasn't given up more than 20 points this season. Just to avoid the tweets, I'm going to say again, 21 against the Lions in week 1, pick 6 with the hands of Kadarius Toney. And if you want to go ahead and say, well, the Chiefs have allowed a total of 21 points, you know what? I'll change the stat by 1 point happily. The Chiefs could have scored 22 points all year long and would be undefeated. Of course, that doesn't change much, I guess, because that's really just the Lions game, because they're undefeated since then. It is really nice to be at this point where you look around and it feels like you're just a little before Halloween. Like the Chiefs might be firing on all cylinders a little bit. I'm glad that that's not just us also. It really is probably my favorite part about getting to take a bunch of calls pretty early on in the show here. We'll bring a bunch of audio next, and we're going to churn through a ton of that. But it's really fun for me to get a temperature check on where everybody is at, and to hear that by and large, I'm sure some of you are outliers here, I'm sure it's not 100% unanimous, but to hear that everyone is kind of looking around thinking, oh, dang, they did it. They brought it all together against a really good, and as Butch mentioned right out of the gate, desperate Chargers team. That can be overblown. Like, I didn't say I'm taking the Chargers because they're the more desperate team. We talked about that on The Zone this week. I didn't pick the Chargers. Didn't think they're going to win this game. They didn't. But desperate doesn't guarantee you anything, right? It doesn't guarantee a result, at least. But it should guarantee your best shot. Derwin James playing hurt in a desperate gotta-have-it type of game. The Chargers are not going to get another chance to take the West from the Chiefs. The Chiefs and Chargers play in L.A., with the ear-splitting home field advantage of SoFi Stadium. On January 7th. Did you have a joke about SoFi, Dylan? I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was about to say for the away team.
That's really what it is. The Chargers will have to go to a silent count, and that game might get started by Blaine Gabbert. Really. That game might be Blaine Gabbert throwing for 250 yards to Justin Ross. Clyde's going to have like 3 touchdowns. Michael P. Ryan gets a little free agency mixtape. That really could be completely independent of what the Chargers do from here. That could be meaningless. Christmas Eve against the Bengals could be a pride game. Like, it could be like, oh, we don't want to. We'll see where Cincinnati ends up and everything. But the weak leg they started the season on, literally because of Joe Burrow's calf, is really taking them out of the race for that 1 seed. There's a lot of football left for the number 1 seed. I'm not telling you to print the AFC Championship game in Kansas City again t-shirts. I'm not going that far because I don't want to be completely unreasonable about it. And we'll bring you like the second half of Dolphins-Eagles tonight here on 810 at least, because that game is huge and also beautiful. I wish the Dolphins were wearing throwbacks also. That would really put it over the top. I'm still not really over the Dolphin logo that looks kind of like the logo for a cruise line.
And their whites. The throwback whites are some of the coolest uniforms in the NFL, too.
Some of the absolute best. They could have done that. I would have enjoyed it. They didn't. I like it when a Dolphin has to wear a helmet for no reason. I think that's fun. I think Tyreek Hill would look faster in those. How about that? I think they wore those at some point last year, so I'm sure we've seen that. But hell of a uniform matchup. We'll bring you that game in a little while. But look, I mean, the Bills, even losing to the Patriots today, dangerous. We'll see. Ravens looked outrageous today against the Lions that beat the Chiefs in week 1. Very real threat for the 1 seed. The Jags are 5-2, but the Chiefs have the head-to-head tiebreaker. And nobody else is fighting for it from the West. The Bengals at 3-3. Again, a lot of football. The Bengals could not lose a football game the rest of the year. I mean, there's a chance of that, sure. But there's not a chance that the Raiders, Chargers, or Broncos are going to be in that spot. And that is an amazing place to be. The defense is improving still. The offense looked like itself today. There's a lot to be happy about. And I think we're going to hear a pretty happy Andy Reid when we come back from this commercial break here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. Andy Reid next.
First and goal. 54 yards on that last play. To the end zone, and back to the end zone resides Rice with the touchdown. His third of his rookie season.
Just an outstanding job. I told you Rice is targeted as much as anybody on this team. Him and Kelsey tied, and that looks like it's another touchdown.
Rashee Rice getting more and more comfortable and becoming now one of Mahomes' favorite targets in just his 7th NFL game.
And they are really going to be a tough team because that was the one area you had. These guys don't make a lot of tough contested catches. You know, at the wide receiver crew, Kelsey obviously does. They needed that guy to step up. He stepped up after being 1 for 5 last week in the red zone. Much better this week after hearing the questions all week.
Rashee Rice, one of Patrick Mahomes' growing favorite targets. All of that there from Nanton Romo. Absolute music to my ears. A great game from Rashee Rice and a sweet play brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. Introducing Cannoli Thunder Concrete at Andy's Frozen Custard. This Italian stallion of flavors is made with fresh vanilla frozen custard, crispy cannoli shells, sweet cream filling, and chocolate chips. Go to eatandys.com for the location nearest you. Rashee Rice has gotten some Sammy Watkins comps. I think Matt Nagy's gone to that well a couple of times now. And here and there, a couple of Dwayne Bowe comps also. I love the Dwayne Bowe, and they're both imperfect. And figuring out exactly who Rashee Rice is as his career goes on is going to be a little bit of a moving target. But Dwayne Bowe was... I think Dwayne Bowe is the player who I maybe most irrationally loved as a young Chiefs fan. There was something about his game, something about the time in Chiefs history that there was, and they drafted a wide receiver, and it seemed like he was going to made big plays, had one incredible season. I got to draft him on my fantasy teams, and he was a big part of all of that, and got to name all my fantasy teams like, somewhere over Dwayne Bowe or the Killer Bees back when Bowe, Breaston, and Baldwin was a trio that I was excited about. A lot's changed. A lot has changed in recent Chiefs history, but there is something about Rashee Rice stylistically that just does my heart good. The type of wide receiver that I'm so excited for this offense to have back in it again. That 37-yarder, not even that touchdown, but that long chunk play when he broke out into some space there and just sort of thundered down the field. I'm really excited to see Rashee Rice continue to get more work, continue to look as good with that work as he has. And again, Dan mentioned earlier on MVS and Hardman. Several people mentioned MVS in the game we had. We heard from him as well just a little bit ago. Brought you that live here on 810. But bringing Mecole Hardman back and then having a few clutch moments from him on the day the Chiefs honored Dante Hall, being able to see one of those broken play situations where MVS is working on the other side of the field and the play just continues and gets extended because Patrick Mahomes is an alien, and then all of a sudden he's working over to that side of the field and boom, the explosive touchdown you've been waiting for. The unbelievable amount of Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce connections. I do this every once in a while. I feel like either my entire open is about Travis Kelce or I forget to talk about him until an hour into the show. I know we've mentioned his name several times, but that connection that we saw today, I'm a broken record on this at this point, and I do not care. And no one has ever criticized me for it either, so I don't mean to make myself a martyr willing to take on this cause. But I'm just going to keep saying it because I really think it's important, just for dead serious, for all of us as people, as human beings who love sports and who love greatness, and specifically, of course, Kansas City Chiefs fans who love sports, who love greatness, who love winning and things that they cannot explain. Don't ever let 179 yards from Travis Kelce go by unacknowledged. He was averaging 15 yards per reception, 12 for 179. It would have needed 180, I guess, for that to be a round number. 12 for 179 on the touchdown, which that play actually brought down his average by a significant amount, that touchdown. We know the Chiefs' offense needs to have reliable role players as a part of it. MVS is that. You saw a couple of nice plays from Sky Moore. It's amazing how 2 for 15 can be, it's kind of a nice game when everything else is working, but that's really what it is. When you stop asking or hoping Sky Moore will be your number one wide receiver, the chain moving, someone mentioned earlier, the Julian Edelman comparison, which is something that I think made Dylan's eyes light up. That role for him is totally fine. I mean, it's for a second-round pick. You'd like him. I mean, Julian Edelman would be great. You take Julian Edelman's career for a second-round pick. But if he's a role player, that's cool. If Jerick McKinnon has a couple big catches, that's cool. If Isaiah Pacheco catches a few balls, that's great. Rashee Rice, 5 for 16, the touchdown, a big play, a touchdown later on, and just a nice game all around. That MVS, couple of big plays. All of that is a functional, good offense. And then you add in yet another completely mind-bogglingly excellent performance from the greatest tight end to ever play this sport, who is so outrageously in sync with his quarterback, who also happens to be the best at his position in this sport. This is a tough needle to thread because it kind of feels like you're giving gold and silver to Kelsey and Mahomes and like figuring out who needs more credit or whatever it may be. I don't want to do that because you're pitting the two faces of this franchise against each other for no particular reason. But it makes it hard to properly quantify how good both of them are because it feels like you might have to be hyperbolic about it. But it's actually simple. They're the greatest to ever do it with the greatest chemistry I've seen in the modern NFL. And you see it game in, game out for, Jerry Rice. I don't know how many times he was changing routes on the fly and all of that. I do not doubt the greatness of Jerry Rice or the quality of the connections that he had over the years. But in the modern NFL, and when, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are pretty good at this, there's no one in the zip code to Mahomes and Kelsey. They are individually so incredibly excellent. And their combination is more than the sum of their parts. It feels like I barely remember what it was like before this now. I can think back on it, but it just sort of feels like we've been in this incredible timeline of Chiefs football for so long. I don't want to forget what it used to be like because then I think you end up taking this a little bit for granted. And when it's more new and interesting to talk about Rashee Rice and MVS, I totally get it. But those two guys didn't combine for the stat line of Travis Kelce today. Rice and MVS combined for the second and third leading receivers, combined for 8 catches for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns to Kelce's 12, 179, and 1. It's just an incredible thing that is incredibly consistent. And I watched Antonio Gates do terrible things to the Chiefs for a long time. I can't even imagine what it's like to be a Chargers fan with the games that Travis Kelce and the moments that Travis Kelce has had against you. It would not surprise me if there are Chargers fans who hate Travis Kelce way more than they hate Patrick Mahomes. Because I know the inverse was true for a lot of Phillip Rivers, Antonio Gates kind of stuff. You appreciate the greatness, but it's like, man, can this guy give us a freaking break? We got Derwin James. He's supposed to be good at this. Again, he was banged up today. But it's just an amazing thing. And so I'm sure I've done this before, but with an excuse to talk about so many good elements of this offense, so many good elements defensively. Charles Omenihu would have been a worthy recipient of this as well. But I get to give them the green light, and I'm giving it to Travis Kelce again today because it feels like all of a sudden if we don't just give it to Travis Kelce time and time and time again, you're doing the MVP thing where you just get bored of voting for the same person. We will have another day soon. Again, Charles Omenihu just edged out in this one. But Travis Kelce gets the green light from me, and that's brought to you by Greenlight Dispensary. Greenlight Dispensary, outstanding customer service, superior product, and continuously voted Missouri's best. Open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. Find a location near you today at greenlightdispensary.com. I don't feel bad about giving more awards to Travis Kelce. He's going to get plenty. Also, no one mentioned it on the calls today, and I didn't see any real complaining about it on Twitter. And I think this is also, Justin Hurts just, Jalen Hurts, sorry. Jalen Hurts just got strip sacked, and Dolphins football. So right now, the Eagles up 3-0, but the Dolphins getting the ball back here late in the first in a big intra-conference game on Sunday Night Football. We'll keep you updated on the big plays there and then bring you the game in the second half later on. I think we figured it out. I think SNL helped. I think the consistency has helped. I think we got the sweet spot. I think we have the sweet spot of wholesome Taylor Swift content. CBS was just sort of mixing in Taylor Swift and Brittany Mahomes in the box together, mixing it in with the rest of the crowd shots, score a touchdown reaction. Hey, is that Puppet Lady? Hey, is that Taylor Swift? You get some super fans. You get the most famous woman in the world. With the wife of the quarterback, who is obviously very successful in her own right. I think that has all. We're not doing Taylor Swift references in every like touchdown call anymore. You know, you don't have to say Travis Kelce shook it off. I don't know. It doesn't work if you say shook it off. You don't have to say that Travis Kelce's feeling 22 or whatever. It's just like, oh yeah, just Taylor Swift's in the booth. She's in a suite at Arrowhead like all the time now. Which is insane. So I'm mentioning that because I just can't believe that's the thing that's happening regularly. But it's just kind of fun. She's just there now. It's just a staple. She's just up there almost as often as Britney, I guess. Which, again, is a wild thing. But I thought it was all handled very well today, at least from what I saw on TV, online. I've been very, pro Taylor Swift content this whole time because I think it's, again, ridiculous and outrageous and a ton of fun. And Travis Kelce is becoming one of the most famous dudes in the country. And I guess maybe the world. I don't know. But I just as a passing mention, thought that was handled well today. And well, I know Andy Reid had a mention of that as well. So we'll let him sound off on Taylor Swift's involvement in the Chiefs organization in a little bit as well. Because it is time to hear from the head coach. It's brought to you by Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC and Olathe Kia. Get a worry-free money-back guarantee on new vehicles when you buy from Brogdon. Visit BrogdonAutomotive.com. Reid's press conference also brought to you by Westlake Commercial, a division of Westlake Ace Hardware. They're your local business-to-business supply partner. Their commercial team, dedicated business-to-business website, credit terms, and convenient store locations make it easy. Visit your local Westlake Ace Hardware store or westlakehardware.com/commercial today. Let's start hearing from Andy Reid from the very top, his opening statement and injury update, including the update on Nick Bolton's wrist.
All right. As far as the injuries go, Nick Bolton has a dislocated wrist. So we're working on that now, and we'll see how he does. He really had a heck of a game up to that point. So, the fans were incredible. What a day. We had a beautiful day, first of all, and then you have the noise there with the Chargers having to use a couple timeouts and illegal procedures and so on that they had going against them. Congratulations to Dante Hall, too, for going into the Hall of Fame, and all the alums that were back there. We love having you all back and supporting the Chiefs. Listen, the second half from our defensive standpoint was a shutout. Spags is doing a great job with design, and the players are playing their hearts out. I give credit to all the coaches there on the defensive side, but when you have a shutout going against that crew, that's quite a deal. Batted balls all over the place. Charles, it was great to get him back in the mix here, or back in the mix. He never was in it, so it was a good deal there. He had a sack and again a block. So 4 sacks by our defense. It was tremendous. And the list keeps going on, right? So we responded after the turnovers. Beautiful job there. Offensively, a good day. A real good day. Again, Matt Nagy puts together the game plan. It was a beautiful game. That defense is is special with some of the players that they have there. And their head coach is calling the plays, and he's a coordinator and head coach, but he also knows exactly what he's doing on with the defense. So with that, Pat had obviously a big day with her 400 yards. Kelsey is getting better with time, and Taylor can stay around all she wants. Rasheed Rice, I mean, we've witnessed this now. I mean, just watching him grow right in front of us here, and then Quez, the old man of the group, he had a big day today, and the third down percentage, anytime you can be 6 for 11 on third downs with the pass rushers that they have is something, and that tells you that your offensive line did a pretty good job. So Andy Heck and his crew really did well, but I thought all the offensive coaches likewise had a nice day. Dave Tobe had a plan for McCole, and the guys blocked their hearts out for him, and he busted that punt out. That was a huge play, and then he came back and had a big catch. So welcome back, McCole. And we only got him here on Thursday, so we'll keep adding stuff to his menu there.
Opening statement there from Andy Reid, and a little behind the radio. There's some audio issues happening out of Arrowhead, which I'm sure noticed just there. So if it sounds like Andy Reid's doing that press conference from the bottom of a swimming pool, he's not. Believe it or not, this is the audio treated adjustment that we got. We will have a little bit of a cleaner feed for Patrick Mahomes when we hear from him in a little while. But sometimes the on-field team is basically immaculate, and then post game you find out that this audio is not exactly. So anyway, bear with us if the Andy Reid clips here are on the stuffier side. Andy Reid doesn't have a cold. This wasn't happening in the middle of a huge arena or a swimming pool, but you hear him shouting out a whole bunch of dudes and guys who all deserved it. He talked about the development of Rasheed Rice, the growth from him. The old man in the group, Quez, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, getting in the end zone, and so many things that this team did so well. Plus, you heard him say, look, Travis Kelce keeps getting better. Taylor can stick around as long as she wants. I tend to agree, and I'm guessing everyone's on the same page there. Next up here, we'll hear from Andy Reid talking a little more, it sounds like, about Charles Omenihu, and then, of course, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and what number 87 has meant to this team.
When I say he wasn't in the mix, I mean, he hasn't played in a game for us other than preseason. But what he did was, on the 6 weeks off, he kept himself in shape, and you got a chance to see that today. Now, is he going to be sore? Yeah, he'll be in the cold tub for a while tomorrow. But he's a nice addition to the mix there.
What do you joking?
I think both he and Pat are on the same page. That's a challenge. That's a challenge for defenses, and I know they work on it. This isn't like a secret, so they're working on those things now. That's when I say, Matt and Joe, all the guys that are involved with that pass game, putting together things. It's quite a tribute to the coaches, and then for those two going out there and executing like they do. And he might be getting very late. You and I can't say that, Evan, but he can. No.
Travis Kelce getting better with age, as Andy Reid says that he and Adam Teicher may not be. That was the little joke there at the end that got a chuckle from the assembled press. In the beginning, there you heard him talk about Charles Omenihu. I guess he said there in that opening statement that he hadn't been in the mix. Yeah, obviously, because he hadn't played yet, and got out there and made an impact very quickly in his first game as a Kansas City Chief. Then in the second half, what was going on in the chess game on both sides of the ball, plus, again, more on my favorite topic of this era of Chiefs football, the relationship between Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, the green light to improvise there, plus you'll hear more about the rookies progressing and the Chiefs having to play the Broncos twice in a 3-week span as they continue this stretch of AFC West matchups. But first here, figuring out the offense in the second half.
Yeah, so nobody, they weren't hanging their heads. They kind of figured it out. We had a plan for it, and then they got us off it. When I tell you, that's a good offense now. So, but the guys figured it out. And you look at the stops in that second half, the pressure on the quarterback. I mean, that was an unsettled position for him today. I mean, the guys got after him a little bit. So whether they were sacking him or hitting him, he had people around him all the time. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's probably both. It's a combination. They kind of know where the green lights are and where the red lights are with the flexibility of the play, and they utilize it. Long yellow light. Right? Go ahead. You bet. Yeah. Listen, I think it's great. We just got to keep growing here. You know, we've got another AFC West team coming up this next week here, so with Denver. So and they'll have another plan for us. And, but the guys they're working through all of that, and this is a new road that you have a chance to play a team twice. All right, well, that's a different thing. They know you, and you have an idea about them. Now, what do you do? So I'm saying for the young guys, but they're getting better.
Yeah, they seem to be, and especially, again, right now, Rashee Rice is like the guy that you have to be circling on that list. Figuring out where Felix Udike-Uzomah ends up will be an ongoing question, but that defensive end group right now is looking pretty good, and that's without Felix needing to take a ton of work. B.J. Thompson, healthy scratch again today. There was another defense. They made one. Malik Herring was the healthy scratch today. That was the one kind of swapping out for Aminahu, so it'll be interesting to see how that rotation continues to go from there. But I like Andy Reid saying there a lot with Mahomes and Kelsey knowing when they have the green light to improvise. So they know when they have the green lights. They know when they have the red lights. And they got a long yellow light. That feels like the most buttoned up, not buttoned up, I suppose, but the tightest summary of how that relationship works, both between Mahomes and Kelsey and between them and Andy Reid and between them and the offense as a whole, really, is you say, hey, man, look, when that light's yellow, that's when you as a driver have to make a decision, right? We've all been there. Some of us may have been there a few times driving to work today. Look, I wanted to watch the end of Patriots-Bills at home. That game kept going longer, and so I was chugging. And sometimes you see that yellow light and you think, no, I got this. No, this is going to be fine. And sometimes it's, oh, we got this if I do something special. If I get into my pod racing mode right now, I'm going to make this work. And sometimes you see that yellow light and you check the distance where you're at and you go, all right, Dylan's going to get the recording started. I can go ahead. All right, Metcalf, you got me. Maybe that happened to someone today. Maybe. I pride myself on being a good yellow light judger. I think that might be my strongest trait as a driver.
My general rule of thumb is if you aren't at the left turn line by the time the yellow light happens, usually you're going to miss it. That's at least in my opinion.
I think that's.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's totally reasonable. But if you have to slam the brakes, then someone has made a mistake. My general rule is if I can come to perhaps a quick but a brake that I will hit that will not make my backpack fly off the passenger seat, which is usually where I put it. I don't know if that's weird or not. But if whatever's in my passenger seat, be it my backpack or Renee, won't go flying into my windshield, it's a soft brake, that's fine. If we're risking, slam on the brakes territory, I'd rather just sort of coast on through the light. Last thing here from Andy Reid, not related to traffic lights or someone else's trip to the station today. But from Andy Reid here, again, a few follow-ups about Mecole Hardman making an impact. And this one here out of the front end of this clip. It's a great question for Andy Reid. Was this the best offensive showing of the season so far today for the Chiefs? And if so, why?
Coach Reid, you scored 3 touchdowns in the second quarter. Do you feel like your team's best rhythm they've had offensively this season, and what was the spark of it?
Yeah, I would probably say, yeah. I mean, it was a productive day. We still got to get rid of some of these penalties. We get rid of a couple of those things, and we'll really have something going. But, I thought it was productive. It was a great plan, and we take away some of little mishaps there with the penalties, then you've had a pretty good day. Yeah, it's a tough thing. I mean, he's been away for 6 months or so, and going through all of learning that offense, and then coming back to this, and not easy to do. But McCole is real smart. So he's a smart kid, innately smart kid, and so it wasn't hard for him to jump back in and pick up a few things that we had in the game plan and roll with those.
And just the
Yeah, nice drive. I was telling Ted that those are plays when you have those are, it's hard to come back and use those plays. You've already used them to get there, and you kind of throw them out the window with turnovers and penalties and that. So, but for us to come back and do what we did after that was a good thing.
There you have it. Andy Reid right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. We'll take a quick timeout and come back and hear from the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, and the audio will be a little crisper. We did what we could. We got Andy Reid out of that swimming pool. Things are okay. But we're going to get a little clear from Patrick Mahomes. We'll hear from him on the other side, then a ton from the locker room. I want to hear from Rashee Rice, Drew Tranquill, McCole Hardman, Dante Hall, who was honored and inducted today. So a lot to break down as we roll on. I'm Joshua Brisco with Dylan Michaels on the other side of the glass and Covell Hudson producing as well. It's the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. Patrick Mahomes next.
Again, the traffic. Intercepted. It's Brian Cook to close out the game. The Chiefs defense is one of the big stories of this season in Kansas City. They're going to keep yet another opponent down inside 20 and below total points by blanking the Chargers in the second half.
It's an incredible, beautiful thing for the Chiefs defense, but an ugly thing for the Chargers offense. And maybe a little bit of an ugly interception for Brian Cook if we're really nitpicking, but I'm going to say that's an ugly play for the Chargers. There were not a lot of ugly plays for the Chiefs. So that's our ugly play of the game, brought to you by We Buy Ugly Houses. Owning a house can be a problem, an ugly problem. Repairs, taxes, mowing the yard. Let We Buy Ugly Houses be the solution. Call 1-800-44-BUYER or go to WeBuyUglyHouses.com. We'll hear from the quarterback who had the much more beautiful game. Although both quarterbacks had a pick they'd certainly like back. The Chiefs, of course, got Herbert a couple of times through the air and continued to just put up really excellent efforts. This Chiefs defense. Whoa, hey, you know what I just realized here 2 some hours after the game ended? No Chris Jones sack today, right? Chris Jones sack streak end? Amenahu got in there. I think Dana may have gotten half of one. Karlaftis got one. Hold on, I'm going to go check the defensive box score real quick. See who got on the board there. Dana gets a full credit sack. Willie Gay gets a full credit sack. George Karlaftis, Drew Tranquill, Charles Amenahu. All 5 of them get sack credit, but not one today for Chris Jones. 1 QB hit and 2B. Hopefully everyone knows me well enough by now, but if you don't, sacks are not the only measurement of pass rusher influence. They're not the best measurement. They're maybe the most fun, and they're maybe the most obvious, but they're on a Amenahu sack certainly, and I'm sure multiple other times in the game as well. It is about what Chris Jones does first and what everyone else does next. That is such a huge part. Again, I think it was a Amenahu sack that Jones just split a couple of linemen, and Amenahu all of a sudden had a clean shot at Herbert. Offensive lines are planning for Chris Jones on Monday and Tuesday. Coaching staffs are preparing for Chris Jones on Mondays. Then offensive lines are adjusting to him in real time. That is the thing. You've got to know where Chris Jones is before you can even pretend to have an offensive plan against the Chiefs defense. But the incredible stretch of consecutive games with a sack does end, and his all of his incentives and everything certainly still on a great track for a whole bunch of those. But no sack for Chris Jones today in a game where the Chiefs had 5 sacks of Justin Herbert and that pair of picks. Meanwhile, on Sunday Night Football, again, we'll bring you the second half of the game live here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. The Eagles up 10-3 after a Dallas Goedert touchdown last drive, and I don't know if it was a 3-and-out or not, but they are making the Dolphins punt. So the Eagles will be getting the ball back at the 20 here, and they'll be getting the ball back up 7 with 10 minutes left in the second quarter. Obviously, Chiefs-Eagles has become a very real rivalry because of the Super Bowl last year. Obviously, the relationship of the Kelsey brothers and the fact that they're going to face off here before too terribly long. But I think it may go without saying that Chiefs fans ought to be rooting for the Eagles here, because anytime an AFC contender can get an extra tally in their loss column, it means good things for what the Chiefs can do in terms of the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. Still just the one bye week, still just the one true home field advantage. And if the Chiefs end the season with the best record in the AFC, tiebreakers over the Jags already tied up, and then we'll see what happens against Buffalo. They won't get a shot at Baltimore. They will, of course, get the shot at Miami early in the morning, our time in Germany. But seeing where all that shakes out will be fascinating. And tonight, right now, even if maybe you've got some ill will towards the Eagles, I'll tell you what, look at their Kelly Green throwbacks, and that ill will may go away. And even if it doesn't, better for the Chiefs, for Philly to get the win tonight over Miami. They'll face both of those teams in back-to-back games coming up in, technically, I suppose, 2 and 4 weeks from now. Because they get the Broncos next, then the Dolphins in Germany, then the bye, and then primetime Monday Night Football, the Eagles at Arrowhead. Time to hear from the quarterback who, as I mentioned earlier, had the better day between the two, although I really still do like Justin Herbert. I cannot quit him, and I will not try. But certainly Patrick Mahomes reigns supreme. The quarterback's press conference is brought to you by Kansas City Acura dealers. As our hometown team in red continues to march toward another epic year, visit your Kansas City area Acura dealers to score jaw-dropping deals on new and pre-owned Acura models. Plus, get overpaid for your trade. Shop your Kansas City area Acura dealer. Let's start with Patrick Mahomes talking about, of course, the one and only number 87. What makes Travis Kelce so uncoverable, and what else is going on in their relationship?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of things. I think the main thing is the way he's able to recognize coverage and adjust on the fly. We always talk about it, but it's something that you can't take for granted. I mean, it's like almost like he's playing Madden. Like, he can read the coverage and stop in the windows and be open and be on the same page as me at all times. And so he did a great job, man. It seems like he does it week in and week out, and that's why he's the player that he is, and he'll be a Hall of Famer one day.
I know we've talked about this a couple of times, but how much would you say is scripted and not scripted?
It's hard to say because even though it's not technically scripted, the way we talk about it throughout the week. And so if you look at the one where I kind of throw in the middle of the field right between people, we kind of discussed, like, if that guy flies out, just be in that window and I'm going to throw it. And so I think by practicing it and doing it in practice, I have confidence he's going to do it in the game. And I always joke around with him. I'm like, man, just take a rep off in practice, but he doesn't want to. He wants to be out there all the time. And so I think he understands how important it is to build that chemistry, and that's what makes him so great.
How impressive is it that Nicole was just able to come back and just inserted in, particularly in that third down?
Yeah, no, first off, the first third down, I missed him. He actually read it well. He saw the linebacker pushing to him. I saw the corner outside, but Trav was going to take that guy out of the way, so he actually read it the right way, and I missed him. But then the last one was cover zero, using his speed, getting through traffic, and making a big catch to get that first down, man. I mean, it's impressive because, he didn't have the season that he wanted in New York, but to be able to come back, have confidence, not be down on himself, and know that whenever he gets his opportunities, he'll do the most with it. And obviously the punt return really put the game away. And so it's another piece that we can add to the offense, and that speed's hard to replicate.
Great stuff there from Patrick Mahomes. I say this as someone who did this oxymoron in college. You ever go to improv practice? Like, that's sort of what, it's a gross oversimplification. But when you ask Travis Kelce, or ask Patrick Mahomes about all of that with Travis Kelce, how much is scripted, how much is unscripted, it ends up being, there's so many great stories in movies and TV where it's like, hey, you just, here's X, Y, or Z, here's what's going to happen in this scene, but if you, a great improv comedian, want to put your own spin on it in real time, we're going to give you the freedom to do that. We're not, we're not Aaron Sorkin, like every syllable has to be scripted. Or I'm a big Wes Anderson fan. There's no ad-libbing in Wes Anderson movies. They're like timed. Like, that is literally like a rhythm to the dialogue. It's part of what makes it so interesting. But improv practice always sort of sound like an oxymoron, but getting those reps in and chemistry and all of that was important doing, college improv. But in this case, it's way more detailed than that. It's, hey, look, here's what we've seen on tape from the Chargers. If they give us this look, here's the plan, but if they give us this look, do this instead, and I'll hit you. Like, that feels so foundational to the Kelce Mahomes connection that it just kind of boggles the mind. It's just a really incredible evolution of football that I think will probably seem more embraced from here on because Kelce and Mahomes have been so good at it and have had so much success with it. When you have quarterbacks and pass catchers who spend a lot of time together, you're going to see attempts at that. But being able to pull it off at all is tough. And being able to pull it off like this is something we've never seen before. And I just think that's fascinating. Also, great stuff there on McCole Hardman and saying, hey, he actually missed him on that first third down, which I think is the one that was a little behind him that went off his hands. I think is probably what he's talking about there. He didn't mention the pick, which could have, I guess Hardman could have gone a little harder to the ball. It wasn't a great throw from Mahomes. It basically amounted to an arm punt. But let me see real quick. Yeah, 3rd and 7. Yeah, it was the Mahomes to Hardman on that first drive. A little behind him, off his hands, popped up, incomplete. So that was certainly a catchable ball. But for Mahomes to say that Nicole read it right and Mahomes missed him. Also, just again, the update in a very important game. Jalen Hurts went down kind of awkward late in a play here that off to the sideline and moving a little gingerly on the handoff after that. So something to keep an eye on there as well in Sunday Night Football. Back to Mahomes, though, next talking about if this was an ideal or the proudest performance of their season so far before he goes on to talk about Travis Kelce and MVS's touchdown, all the improv that went into that play, I'm sure. But was this the best the offense has been this year?
Yeah, I would say so far. There's still just little things here and there. The first drive, the penalty, it just hurts. We play big games like this; those can be really big. And then the second half, just here and there, just a little miscues here and there. If I can hit Rasheed on that one when they're triple teaming Travis, he's probably going to score. So just little things here and there that I have to continue to be better at. But we're definitely taking steps in the right direction. I was just saying the interception, just no one look at Quez because that's who I was supposed to throw to, and he was probably another touchdown. So just cut him out of the picture when y'all look at it.
Adam, go ahead, Adam. Yep, go ahead. Patrick, Travis has had 3 big games since his birthday a few weeks ago. Is he getting better with age, and is he a better player now than you got him maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way he's able to recognize coverages is probably even better. I mean, he's played against every single team and every coverage and every way to try to take him away, and so he's able to recognize that and then dissect it on the fly. Younger Travis would have scored on that one touchdown, though, so I'll say that. So, but other than that, I think he's doing a great job of finding ways to get himself open and having these monster games. Yeah, so he actually was the first read. I mean, in all honesty, I called the running back was supposed to go out the other way, and I called it the wrong way, and so it ran underneath Marquez, but it actually opened up everything else to the right, and so I scrambled up to the right. He did a great job of working with me, and then I threw the ball. I mean, I think those runs have started to work, and now the defenses are coming up when I scramble, and so I was able to get the ball to Marquez, and then he got in the end zone, and he had a good game today, and I have to continue to find him because he's getting open, and I have to continue to find ways to get him the football.
Fascinating there. On the MVS touchdown, Mahomes says the running back was supposed to go out the other way, and he called it wrong, so which I assume is that the running back was supposed to go out to the right, I think he said there. And instead, there was a little congestion on the left side, but I think there was congestion with Sky and MVS being too close together, spacing-wise on the left side. But fascinating that the running back ends up, I guess, going out to the left because he called it wrong in the huddle, and that ends up opening up everything to the right, which is where Mahomes bailed out to. He bails out right, and MVS, after being the initial read, ends up working across the field, gets open, touchdown. Maybe the Chiefs just need to have somebody make a mistake every once in a while because, like, Kelce was lined up in the wrong spot on one of those corn dogs in the Super Bowl, right? Was he lined up in the wrong spot on Skies, I think?
Who?
Travis Kelce was lined up. He said he was lined up in the wrong spot on either Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney's touchdown in the Super Bowl, I think.
I thought that those two were lined up in the wrong spot.
I thought
on the wrong side.
You know what? I think it's maybe even started with that. I think eventually Travis Kelce claimed that he was the one out of position. I can't. Point being, I guess all you need for a successful Chiefs touchdown is to be out of position.
It's probably because they're expecting something and then
yeah. Just screw it up. Screw it up and make the defense confused. By the way, 3.5 minutes left in the half. Extra point will make it 17-3 for the Philadelphia Eagles because A.J. Brown is a man. Oh, his butt's down short. So touchdown will be taken off the board there. But the Eagles, once again threatening from the one, they'll have a fresh set of downs. Wonder what they'll do. What do you think the Eagles are going to do from inside the 1 yard line?
I think the brotherly shove, if I had to guess.
Who's their punter? Can he push Dallas Goedert? Guessing the Eagles will score eventually. Been some wild plays in that game. Anyway, back to Mahomes again. Sorry I keep getting distracted by the football game that's on. I imagine you appreciate the updates. And if you don't, you can call Dylan and tell him, and then I'll tell Dylan not to tell me. Here from Mahomes again. talking about the Chargers doubling Travis Kelce, the offensive line's performance today, the play that he, I think, alluded to there of Kelce being wide open in the middle, and again, Travis Kelce just getting open. A lot going on, a lot of it being Travis Kelce based here in this chunk from Mahomes.
Yeah, third down, they did a good job, but they were going to double him at least. And if the running back stayed in, they're going to send a third guy there. And so they were very conscious of Travis. But it opens up other things. We just got to be able to hit and connect on those things. We did in certain points, but if we can continue to get better in that, like I like the one to Rasheed, if I can hit him on that and we get that big touchdown, it'll take defenses out of that. And so we got to continue to prove that. And that's stuff that we can get better at as the season goes on.
Patrick O-lines often have trouble against Lil Mack and Joey Bosa. Talk about how you were.
Yeah, I mean, they were great. They were great in pass protection. I've, said it 7 times to them in the locker room. I mean, other than the one sack on third and super long, they kept me clean. And a lot of pockets whenever I was going 1, 2, 3, back to 1 type reads. And so they played their tail off. They battled. And then in the second half, they found a way to just grind out yards in the run game. And so, I mean, that's a great defensive front. And I thought the offensive line accepted the challenge and played a great game.
The one play at Travis, you started to run, or made it look like you were going to run. Just take us through that play. It looked like he was a little free even before you did that.
Yeah, no, we actually talked about him on the sideline after. I saw him, but I just couldn't find the angle to make the throw to him. And so the offensive line did a good job, and I was able to step up in the pocket and just made it easier to float it to him. He was kind of like the second, third read on that play, and so I looked out to the first few. They were covered, and I saw Travis, so I just wanted to find a way to get him the football. And so he did a good job finding that open space, and I was able to get the football to him. Yeah, no, he does a great job of whenever he's open, he doesn't get himself covered. I mean, I say that and it sounds funny, but a lot of times if you're supposed to run a route a certain way, they're going to keep running the route and they'll go through the window. And in this offense, Coach Reid gives them the freedom to, if you're open, stay there. Don't get yourself covered and run the route like we've ran it in practice 1,000 times. And so he does a great job of that. And it sounds simple, but it's something that he's really mastered.
It's something that I remember asking Travis Kelce about in a press conference a very long time ago, it feels like now, that has now become so commonplace to talk about that. And I think it's amazing. It was amazing to me at the time. But that sort of little mantra of, hey, don't get yourself covered. If you've got a way to run this route in practice, and all of a sudden you find yourself open, and it's not in a way that's going to derail some other part of the play, just sit down. Stay there. Let the defense leave you. And we'll take the yards we can get. It's really a wonderful thing about this offense. Last thing here from Patrick Mahomes, a lot about Rashee Rice, what he saw from him pre-draft, the development. But first, the fact that Rashee Rice was one of 10 players who caught a pass today.
Yeah, I think guys just stepped up. If they're going to focus that much on Travis, obviously we're going to still try to throw him the football in certain areas, but we got other guys got to make plays. And guys stepped up, made a lot of big plays, big catches. And I think that's what our offense is going to continue to be. Obviously, there's going to be a big dose of Trav, the player that he is. But if we want to continue to get to that next step of an offense and a team, we're going to have to let other guys make plays when it counts. And I thought the guys did a good job of that today.
Last one. Patrick, when it comes to Rasheed, just what is he sort of, that you've seen that has translated from practice to these games where he's sort of been where you needed him to be?
Yeah, he's just learning. Not only from me, but from Travis, from Marquez. He takes in information well. He learns. And we continue to give him more, and he continues to get better and better. And so he's obviously a physical player. I think y'all can see that. But the way he's able to kind of start recognizing coverages and get himself open is starting to really translate. And then we'll continue to get better and better. And if I can hit him on that one route, it's even a bigger game. So I think he's done a great job. But he can't be satisfied. He's got to continue to get better if he wants to be the player I think he wants to become.
I know you had those few passing sessions with him before the draft fight. Obviously, it's not against the defense, but what could you tell him before the draft that led you to believe he could be maybe this good this early?
I think the biggest thing I can tell, I mean, obviously you see the physical stuff. I mean, everybody has the physical stuff, but when I have those passing sessions in the offseason, I think y'all know when I'm talking through stuff with the receivers, I'm talking about recognizing coverages and stuff like that, and I could tell, even though he didn't know because he hadn't played in the NFL, he had a good grasp of feel. Like he understood how to kind of settle in certain areas, and if he made a mistake, he would fix it the next time. And so I think that was the biggest thing that I saw with him. I mean, obviously the physical stuff is there, but the way he was able to comprehend and do stuff and adjust on the fly, I think that stuff is what is going to makes you great in this offense. And I think he does a great job of it.
I'm excited to continue to see that development, that relationship, and all of the things that Patrick Mahomes said there about Rashee Rice should make you very excited. Because if the Chiefs have I don't. This is not meant to be a slight or anything because it's year one for Rashee Rice still. If Rashee Rice can be a top 50 wide receiver this year from here on out, like a guy who would be a great number 2 receiver, but not your top choice for number 1 receiver, there is still a long time for that to continue developing. A lot more work he can still get, and you've got a top 5 pass catcher on the roster right now. He just plays tight end. So the flow of this offense and where it could continue to go from here, it is maybe the most exciting part of this game today and of where this team is going to be headed. We'll take a timeout. We'll talk about those things and whatever else interests Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest. He'll join us next here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show.
First and goal. Take the handoff. Pass in the middle. Kelsey's reaching for the goal line, and he's shoved across. Oh, my gosh. Still waiting for the signal. I think it's a touchdown. Now they're up with arms. Touchdown, Kansas City.
That was ridiculous. It's almost like, that ball's going to get tipped or hit out of there. But the strong hands of Kelsey and just holding on to it and then getting pushed in at the end allows him to do a nice average dance there. I'm here better than that.
And number 50 between those two, which is fourth all time between a quarterback and a tight end. It's 27 consecutive completions from Mahomes to Travis when he's been targeted, which is remarkable.
Truly remarkable. Not quite a tush push. He was facing the wrong way for that. Well, everybody else make their own puns, but a hell of a connection there between Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Even on that play that was one of the more stressful offensive plays of the game. The air yards there were not very high, but he went up with the football and was able to get across the end zone for the 50th touchdown from Mahomes to Travis Kelce. A truly incredible connection. Almost as incredible as our connection with Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest. He's brought to you by Cap One Lending. The Freedom Loan at Cap One Lending is the exclusive loan that helps you pay your home off in less than half the time and gives you access to your home's equity without having to refinance. Go to caponelending.com. Matt, there's a lot of stuff that happened from this game today. Go ahead and let's go real big picture. Was this the most complete game that the 2023 Chiefs have given us?
Probably if you look at big picture, I could make that argument. I mean, the only thing that would take it away from me a little bit is that it wasn't a complete first half performance from the defense. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the second half. I mean, that was one of the better turnarounds that you're ever going to see as far as halftime adjustments go and what this team was able to do. Chargers were pretty much moving the ball at will and doing whatever they wanted to in the first half, by and large. And the second half, I mean, they turned the Chargers just into a mediocre team. So big picture, and you look at the final numbers and how everything shook out, yeah, I mean, I think you could say that. But if they were just a little bit tighter defensively in the first half, I think that I could say this was a complete game win.
And really, I find myself not even being terribly bothered by the way they did give up those points because, like, big chunk plays, either from a blown assignment or a missed tackle or a bad read or whatever, that's not something this defense has had a problem with this year. So it felt kind of like the outlier. I was a little nervous to see if it would continue in the second half, and it didn't. Like, I still feel pretty good about all that.
Yeah, I mean, the giving up the big touchdown run, the 49-yard touchdown run to Kelly, was completely out of character for this team. I mean, going back and looking at it, they had not given up a touchdown longer than 11 yards all season. So to give up one of 49 certainly stands out. And then even the second other touchdown that they give up, that was one that at least the defense kind of, gave themselves a chance to bail themselves out of it because they get, the Chargers get the big play from Herbert to Palmer, and Brian Cook, kind of does the same thing that happened against the Jets, keeps a bad play from getting worse because, they give up the play to Palmer, but then Cook kind of sees, okay, wait a minute, I just need to get this guy on the ground, and then finds a way to take the right angle and get Palmer on the ground without giving up a huge touchdown play. And that in and of itself might have been a momentum changer. I mean, yeah, the Chargers get a score, but if the Chargers get a, 70-some-odd yard touchdown, instead of, the 60-yard trunk play and then a shorter touchdown that I think it was Everett that got that one, that maybe emotional lift is completely different. The Chargers may be in a different area. So just making that play was, I think, kind of a big deal. But again, I mean, it does show the resiliency, I think, that this defense has, that they're able to make a couple of mistakes and maybe in a way, because I had a conversation earlier tonight talking about this, that the Chargers, for whatever reason, really wanted to try to run the football today, and they weren't doing it effectively. I mean, you take out the one play to Kelly, which was clearly kind of a blown play. I mean, the Chiefs were not really prepared for it well. There was a big hole. Justin Reid was the only guy that could stop it, and he misses it. And then outside of that, you take it away. Chargers 25 carries for 90 yards.
Wow.
that's not good.
No.
So, I mean, it's like if that led to them continuing to try and that fool's gold touchdown run led to them to continuing to think that they could run the football, more power to you because they weren't able to.
Austin Eckler was 14 for 45 on the ground, and I have not said this yet. I don't think I've said his name yet, Austin Eckler, on the show, which is a testament to the defense. 1 catch. I didn't go hammer any Austin Eckler overs because I was like, hey, you know what? I kind of like the athleticism of these linebackers, and we've seen the linebackers and safeties play really well so far. But I would have taken the over on 1 catch, 1 yard, I think. We'll have some time to talk about everything offensively, but Charles Omenihu makes his Chiefs debut. He essentially forces an interception, has a sack of his own. I don't know what his snap count ended up being, or if you have a feel for how often he was out there, but I'm excited, Matt. I am very excited about 95 and 90 playing next to each other in the middle of that defensive line, and I'm also excited about them going out to the edge when they feel like it as well. This 4-man pass rush, it was a little bit of a concern the last couple of weeks, and I have gone from concerned to really excited.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers had 61 offensive plays. I mean, if Omenihu played more than 30, I think I'd be surprised.
Okay.
It could have been more than 30, but I feel like it was probably around that ballpark. And when you think about it in those terms, I mean, let's say he did play 30 snaps, and let's go crazy. Say he played 40. I don't think it was that high, but let's say he did. His productivity was amazing.
Outrageous.
I mean, you're talking about the plays that he made and everything, and it just seems like he was consistently around the football. And now, you want to see that replicated. You want to make sure that this wasn't just a huge emotional game for him, and maybe there's just a little bit more juice. I know he told me in the post-game press conference that he plays, better when he's more mellow. And he got up at 6:15 this morning and was so charged up, and he got charged up again when he got to the stadium and saw the crowd, trying to calm himself down. But, we need to see it replicated. We need to see him do it again. But this was a fantastic debut. And you're right. I mean, and I noted that during the game, one thing that the Chiefs spent a ton of time on during training camp was that third down package look, that obvious passing down look where you've got Chris Jones on the outside, George Karlaftis on the outside, and then you kick Mike Dana and Charles Omenihu on the inside. That's where the Chiefs are going to eat. I mean, this defense is absolutely going to make its living. If they can get some teams in the third down and then get that quartet on the field to harass quarterbacks on third down and even second and long, they can do some damage because that group looked really good on the field together today.
Yeah, they looked fantastic. Before we shift to the offensive side, is there anything else defensively that caught your eye?
Once again, I mean, Nick Bolton was having an absolutely fantastic game until he gets knocked out. So, how long that Nick is out with that dislocated wrist that's going to hurt. I mean, they could really use him. But and despite the fact that the Chiefs got the productivity with the blitzes, they didn't have to blitz a lot today. They were able to get pressure consistently with 4, and being able to do that, with the return of Omenihu. If they can keep that up, I mean, that's just going to make this defense even tougher because we've talked about the pressure they've been able to get on quarterbacks and through the first 6 games. And, hey, let's face it, a lot of it was generated with the blitzes. I don't know. I haven't seen where the numbers came out today, but it felt like they blitzed a lot less today, and yet I didn't see the productivity as far as, quarterback pressure dropping at all. If anything, I felt like it was up. I mean, they had a really good day against this team.
Yeah, I think that anecdotally sounds perfectly correct to me. Seemed like they blitzed a little less, had just as much success, maybe more. Get some great moments from Tranquill and Willie Gay, both getting a sack as well. Just a really disrespectful defensive performance outside of a couple of weird drives. Makes me very happy. Also, quick scoreboard update. 17-10 right now. The Dolphins did get to double digits before the half. Tyreek Hill touchdown a little bit ago, so Philly up by a touchdown there. Talking to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest here, though, in the meantime. Matt, what about the offensive side? I didn't even really register with me that the Chiefs were not running the ball very effectively outside of some big Patrick Mahomes scrambles. It was the Kelsey Mahomes magic. It was a lot of the receivers getting involved. Rashee Rice having a big game. What's the star of the offensive performance for you?
I mean, Mahomes and Kelsey. I mean, do you need anything else? I mean, those two guys were just on another planet today. I mean, Mahomes has been ridiculously, for the most part, protective of the football this year, and especially with just taking what he's being given. Completion percentage close to 70%, and, that's what he's got to do. If teams are going to continue to play these zone defenses against him and try and take away the deep ball. Today it felt like, and you take out quarterback scrambles, I guess they ran the ball 17 times. Not as much as they have been running it of late. They had some games there where they were, really running the football a lot. And today, they kind of, I think, ran the football to just soften up the zones a little bit. And that worked effectively. They were able to take some shots deeper downfield than they have been. Some of those were Mahomes scrambles, but they were also, as Patrick noted in his post-game presser, it wasn't like he was running for his life. It was literally he had time to go through his second progressions, and at that point was just like, hey, nobody's open, so I guess I better run with it. And then once he does that, things start to break down, and he's got the vision to see them and, find Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Travis Kelce. But, no, him and Kelce are just, playing on a whole other level right now. This is second game in the last couple of weeks that Kelce has challenged his career high, 179 yards today, 12 yards short of the career high. For the guy to be doing this at 34, it's ridiculous. Good grief, my physical life was over by the time I was 34, Josh. I certainly wouldn't have been doing anything like, setting career highs at that age.
No, I don't think I could punch the turf as hard as he did, and I'm not 34 just yet. What about Rashee Rice? If we go to the other end of the age spectrum, where a guy who has been a growing part of the offense seems to see a lot of that pay off today.
Yeah, this is the kind of game that, is it flashy? No, 5 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown. That's. If you're going to be a 1,000-yard receiver in this league, that's kind of guy that you just want to be punching in every single week. Yeah. And we're starting to see him kind of settle into that kind of zone of being, a kind of prototypical 1,000-yard guy. And for him to be that as a rookie would be very impressive. He needs to pick it up in the second half to have a little bit better pace, but looking at what he has done over the last 3 or 4 games, it's starting to be a really good trend. And to me, looking at that receiver group, it's hard to say that anybody else is playing better than him right now. And that's kind of surprising to me because we've talked about just how difficult it is for rookies to pick up this offense and be able to be a marquee player. And remember, Andy Reid still has never had a rookie 1,000-yard receiver in his coaching career. So, if Rice is able to do it this year, it would be a big moment. And, that would be, to me, signaling that something big is happening. But even if he ends up with 800, 900 yards, to me, that is a big deal. And we know, last year, this team, outside of Kelce, and I'm just talking about the receiver group, doesn't have a 1,000-yard receiver, but they win a Super Bowl. So as much as we've been talking about, this offense and maybe not being at the level it's been in the past, as far as what they are getting from this team, from everybody collectively offensively through 7 games, you look at it, that's enough to win a Super Bowl, especially when you pair it with his defense.
He's been averaging about 40 yards per game before today, but just to do some quick math, 60 times 17 is 1,020. So that would put you on that 1,000-yard pace. Again, he'd have a little extra work to do to pick it up down the road, but I would be more than happy for the 800-yard season, the 1,000-yard season. If he wants to, mess around and go grab 1,200, I'll take it. We can keep counting his stats in the playoffs for all I care. One last thing for you, Matt. On the receiver front, a guy who made his biggest play on special teams, but did have a great play on offense as well. And then even Mahomes saying after the game that he was taking responsibility for the missed connection earlier in the game. Mecole Hardman, wearing number 12, makes his return to Arrowhead Stadium. What did you see from him tonight? Good, bad, middle of the road?
Yeah, he maybe looked a little rusty on the interception, and he had the drop early, but that third down conversion was a huge play, and that 50-yard punt return. That was classic Mecole. That is a play that has been missing from the Chiefs special teams, and if he's able to do that and give them that kind of spark on special teams, that's just one more thing that you can give to this team that would give them a boost. And I think it's reasonable to believe that Mecole can be a little bit of a contributor. Right? Do I expect him to come in and be crazy like 500 yards the rest of the season? No. I'm not sure that's a reasonable expectation. but can he come in and maybe give you a surprise here and there? I mean, they didn't even give him the ball on any, jet sweeps or anything like that today. So, there's more to add to McColl's plate. But if you even just got a couple of plays like that from him offensively per game, and then the occasional spark on special teams, I mean, that's more than worth the trade. And I think McColl is absolutely capable of doing that. And I don't know about your thoughts, Josh, as far as, watching his press conference this week. And then, also we talked to him after the game. I feel like it's a different McCole Hardman. I don't know if it was the injury. I don't know if it was the experience in New York. But, he just seems like a different cat. And I mean that in a good way. I mean, he has certainly, I think, been not that, I don't mean to say anything bad about McCole, because I think that he's always been, a nice guy to have around. He's certainly been a good teammate, but he just seems so much more mature and humble than maybe when we last saw him. And like I said, whether it's just the experiences he's had over the past year, it's maturity, age, whatever it is, I mean, I think those can only be good things for him and for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm with you on all that. I got to talk to him. It's now been a few years, I guess, 2.5 years or something before the season, out at an event where I got to talk to him just one-on-one for, I don't know, let's say 8 to 10 minutes, just to stay on brand, something in that realm. And since then, I have really, there was sort of a weird reputational thing that I never fully understood with him, where I felt like maybe he had unfairly inherited some baggage of, I don't know, of Tyreek Hill or whatever it was. Because you're right, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I never found him in any way like arrogant or standoffish or anything like that. And yet there was an extra level of introspection in the presser this week. We haven't gotten to hear what he said in the locker room yet. We're going to do that next segment. But he was introspective, he was thoughtful, and I can only imagine what it means to a NFL speedster to lose the ability to walk for a week and then to go have all of those experiences in New York that you alluded to. Again, it seems like not a wake-up call, because I don't think he was sleepwalking, but a real sort of pivotal moment that it seems like he really came out of for the better, which is very, very cool.
And, and there's amount of respect that you can also see with McCole that he's got with this group is just based on, one, it's a very young receiver room. So, he and Marquez are obviously the old heads in that receiver room. But the respect, because pregame they come out there for warm-ups, and McCole talks about this a little bit, so you may hear it later. But he seems content to just, go out there during warm-ups and run with the second group. And it was some of, the young guys and the receivers who were like, hey, McCole, you're one of the, vets. You go out there with the starters. And so he went through drills as one of the with the first string group with Marquez and Sky, and that was his teammates, recognizing that. I mean, it wasn't McCole taking it. I mean, they literally were like, "Hey, McCole, you're up." That's in the NFL in football. That's a sign of respect. I mean, when guys around you are giving you that, and they're saying, "No, you take the first rep," that's a big deal. And so I think that just, goes to show how much these young guys do look up and respect, McCole, and how even just coming in this week, he's, I think, had a good influence.
Matt, you've had a great influence on this locker room around here, week after week. What's coming up on Chiefs Digest tonight? What can people check out?
Yeah, talk to McCole, so we will dive into that. Awesome. I think that obviously Charles and Minihue in his post-game comments and just his game today were a huge moment too. Hey, if I get really ambitious, you might end up seeing a little bit about what Justin Reid had to say about the defense as well, because I think their second-half performance was a huge part of the storyline today.
It's a big game with a lot of stories, and are you with me on locking up the AFC West? Can we start printing the shirts?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm running a book, I'm paying out the bets already. Give the folks their money and try and get them to bet it again, because this race is over. Yeah. I mean, I know we've done this before, but also it's been the other way around. How many times have we seen that the Chiefs maybe stumble a little bit here, and then it's like, hey, somebody's got a chance to put the Chiefs away because they're 2 games up, and then 4 weeks later the Chiefs are back in first place. Nobody in this division is catching this team. I mean, there's just no hope. I mean, they need to be the ones that jump out early. If the Chiefs are 6-1 and have essentially a 3.5 game lead over the rest of the division, it's over.
We'll mark that and save that for the cuts on Friday. Thank you, Matt.
Take care, Joshua.
Unfortunately, this segment Also over. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and bring you our locker room report. We'll hear from McCole Hardman and other Chiefs coming up next here in the Sports Radio 810 WHP Postgame Show.
Here's Scott punting to Hardman. On a day when Dante Hall entered the Ring of Honor, can he pay tribute to him? Here he goes! It's Hardman! Hardman to the 40 and out of bounds near the 30-yard line.
Wow! You called that exactly for Dante Hall.
I was channeling Dante Hall.
GEHA Stadium at Arrowhead is rocking. And it looked like Dante Hall right here with the shiftiness and then the juice. And that's why you go out and bring him back. And he's going to keep getting more and more time. And right there, they got a guy with some juice now, Jim.
A great call from Jim Nance. Great timing from McCole Hardman. That is our play of the game, brought to you by Central Bank of the Midwest. At Central Bank of the Midwest, every customer is a first-round draft pick. Central Bank of the Midwest, strong roots, endless possibilities, member FDIC. We will also hear from the aforementioned X Factor, the human joystick, number 82, Dante Hall. We will hear from him a little later on, sometime before we wrap up the show. Also, they're back in action in Philadelphia. The Dolphins driving right now, down by a touchdown, but I thought there's a big play potential in Miami. From Miami is always there, but gonna have third and super duper long. And we'll keep you posted on that game, and we'll bring you at least, I think, the fourth quarter of that one live. But right now, we can hear from the man himself. Just a quick little cameo. Let's go ahead and hear what McCole Hardman had to say in the locker room.
So how did it feel to get out there and have that big punt return, your first game back, the crowd going crazy, the game on the line? What did that mean to you?
It means a lot, man. Just any way I can help the team and, go out there and do my job. It definitely means a lot, especially first game back, too, though. So, yeah.
It had to be special. It's like, what was going through your mind when you heard that crowd and you knew what you had just done, your teammates going crazy? That's got to be a special moment.
He knew he was back home.
On me. Energy boost, baby. Trying to boost his team up, trying to get Pat some energy, man. He was kind of, dead today, man. But I try to give him a lot of energy so he can finish that drive,
And then that big catch to set up another first down. Do you feel like you're getting your feet wet back with the offense? How comfortable do you feel?
I feel real comfortable. I think I still know the offense. Just waiting for them to dial me up now.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Just waiting on him to dial him up now. That's Stephen St. John, our very own here at Sports Radio 810, talking to McCole Hardman. Let's hear also from his wide receiver compatriot, Rashee Rice, who had an even more productive day offensively and has really looked like a comfortable part of this offense. Nice to have Hardman back in the room. Really nice to have Rashee Rice with the effort he had today.
That first half, 365 yards.
Yeah! Look at that guy.
Hold on. Can you re-ask the question? Please? Like 360-something yards of a pass. I'm talking about how the offense was flowing.
We kind of expected us to come out here and, have an offensive game. Even if it was a defensive game, we just knew that we prepared really well during the week of practice just to get to, Sunday, get here.
Take us through that touchdown. From your vantage point, what happened?
I would, on that route, I normally would run like post corner, but he kind of sat outside and stayed low. So I just played football and knew that Pat will find a window. Even if he scrambled, he would eventually see me. So I just kind of sat back where no defenders would see me and Pat would.
It was a little different than the touchdown at Minnesota, but you knew you were going to get hit on both of those. What's that thought process like as the ball's coming down and the guy's coming at you?
Truthfully speaking, it's football. We got passed for a reason. I'm not afraid of no type of contact. So as long as I got my feet down, that's all that matters for the team.
Are you even amazed sitting there and watching what Travis has been able to do over the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I'm amazed all the time, even in practice, even with Pat. Like they do stuff like this all the time. So when we get to the games, it's not too shocking for me, but it's in crucial times, crucial moments. So it's big moments for us.
What's been working so well for you? What's allowed you to hit the ground running and be one of the most reliable receivers on the team?
Just to come in and be all ears to Travis, Pat, even McCole, even though he just got here because he's been here. It's just I don't know everything right now, and for me, taking any piece of knowledge from any vet is going to keep improving my game.
What do you think helps you guys just kind of break out a little bit today? You've been a little clumped up here and there.
Practice, being able to execute even on the smallest pieces of certain plays. Like we'll go back and rerun it, even if it's just a lineman, because we can go back and practice. If something didn't work in the game, we can go back and practice and see why it didn't work.
This offense makes plays, but does it help to know you guys have a defense that just continually comes up with big stops?
Yeah, I mean 100%. We give a lot of glory to the defense. They give a lot of glory to us, and I feel like that's why we're such a great team, because we know that we can, depend on each other as far as being on the field.
Is there a way to describe how much more comfortable you are at this point than just your first weeks in the offense?
Not necessarily. I mean, I just continue to come in, lock in all the way on meetings, and being able to translate that from meetings to the practice field.
Did it ever seem kind of overwhelming, or you just sort of knew, I'll be fine?
I mean, it was overwhelming, but I heard that, a lot of rookies don't do too well in Coach Reid's offense right away, so kind of determined. I was real determined about that, and then I got Pat, so I knew I was coming here. They didn't get me to sit on the bench, so they got me to, have an impact on the team.
That's pretty cool stuff there from Rashee Rice. He's right. Matt Derrick just told us about some of those stats. Rookie receivers don't do very well in Andy Reid offenses. He was determined to be a part of it. They didn't draft him to sit on the bench. That's a cool mindset for a budding number 1 wide receiver, and certainly that appears to be what Rashee Rice is right now. That is a portion. We're going to have a lot more audio still to come, but that is a portion of our locker room report here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show, presented by Twin Peaks.
The Chiefs Locker Room Report is brought to you by Twin Peaks. No one does football like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, they have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu, second to none. And don't forget about their 29-degree man-sized drafts at Twin Peaks.
We'll go back over to the defensive side now, though. You heard Matt Derrick mention the press conference of Charles Omenihu. We have that for you now as well. In his first game as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs, he did a little bit of everything. Batted up a pass that turned into an interception, brought down a sack, and just generally all over the place. Even as Matt was saying, I was very curious to hear what his expectation was there. He doesn't think he played more than probably 30, maybe 40 snaps in that game. And as a guy getting back into the NFL swing of things after sitting out for 6 weeks, staying in good shape, obviously. Andy Reid mentioned that in his presser. But a really, really, really impressive performance from number 90. Here is Charles Omenihu after the game.
How you guys doing?
Ooh, it's loud.
Good. How are you, man? This is a heck of a way to start.
Yeah. If y'all don't mind, I want to open up by just, first and foremost, bro, thanking God for allowing me just to be out here today. Not playing football for the last 6 weeks has probably been the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And being able to come out and help the team win, I truly have no words. I want to thank Coach Reid, Veach, Bino, Ted, Joe, the whole D-line, the whole defense, the whole Chiefs organization, Coach Mr. Hunt, just for the support for the last 6 weeks. So, all right, I'm good now.
I know you said it's the hardest 6 weeks you've had, but what made it the hardest?
Not being out with the guys, man. And I've in my career, I've only missed maybe 2 games. My first game in the league, when I first got to the league, I was inactive for week 1, and then I may have missed 1 other game. So I haven't really missed games before in my life. And just talking about the league, so just missing those 6 games, seeing them boys going out there and eating, wanting to be a part of it, especially coming in and trying to be a piece to a puzzle that's already been put together quite nicely. It was eating at me, but thank God I'm back and was able to help the team win and a big win divisional game.
What kinds of things did you do during the suspension to kind of stay?
Yeah, no, I trained in Austin with my guys at Collective. Shout out Jeremy Hill, Mo Wells, and Tim. They're keeping me in shape, and then I would have my D-line guy, Nathan O'Neill, come out, and we would work pass rush, and I just worked as if I was still in the off-season program. I never really took off the gas because, coming out in the field, guys they're playing for families and all sorts of things, so, you got to be in tip-top shape. So I never just took off the gas for real.
What stands out about the difference in the first half compared to the second half?
We just tightened it up a little bit. That's a good team over there. They got a great quarterback, a coach that, is smart. So we just tightened it up, and it helped, getting turnovers. I think we got them all in the second half maybe. But just helped getting turnovers, and the offense was rolling. So.
And then, you did watch this defense for 6 weeks. Yeah. What stood out to you as you watched?
Just the way guys were swarming. Guys will run to the ball. Guys are attacking the ball. You got guys who can rush. Mike is having a hell of a year. George, Chris, obviously, and Derrick plugging up in the middle, and also Felix and Turk and Malik. You know, those guys and we're turning it up. And so just watching those guys work and perform, so I just wanted to come in and just add to it.
How about just the idea of getting a sack and a ball batted down and just being as productive as you were?
Yeah, I mean, you know, they trusted me and brought me in to add more to the fire that's already here. So you got to go out there and be productive. That's the name of the game.
You and Chris were on the level as far as entering today, as far as your excitement compared to past games. You've been playoff games and openers. How was it emotionally for you today?
Yeah, throughout the week I was super calm. This morning I woke up at 6:15 in the morning, charged up, and then I told myself, bless you, I told myself that I gotta, turn it down a little bit, and then coming out and seeing the fans, that got me rolling again. And after that, I just was like, all right, you've done this, and it's a game, and I play better when I'm very mellow.
Charles, the moment of the sack, just considering all that you've gone through this past 6 weeks, what's going through your head as a crowd?
Thank God. It's only God, bro. Truly. It was a surreal feeling. Me and Chris kind of just felt Chris getting up the field and wrapped him. And the first quarterback hit, I was like, I'm close. And I kind of felt like, all right, it's going to be one of those type of games where you're going to get active. So getting the sack, probably the happiest moment of my career personally. And doing it with a new team, home game, big game. I kept asking around the bill, I'm like, this Chargers game is a big one, huh? And they're like, yeah. I was like, okay, let me keep that in mind.
Charles, after that, I saw you kind of grab a couple teammates on the sideline. Can you describe the emotion?
Yeah, a lot of those guys really knew the intricacies of what I was going through mentally. And Willie obviously had a situation where he had the same kind of deal. So he was talking to me all week, and keeping me encouraged. And some of the guys that just, like I said, been knowing, how I've been feeling, and just those guys embracing me was a big thing for me.
Chris always talks about how Joe Cohen helps him with his pass rush skills and obviously scheming things for him to have one-on-ones. Just what have you taken from Cohen throughout this process, and how do you think he may help you kind of in the same way?
Yeah, no, Joe's an excellent D-line coach, first and foremost. Joe's definitely helped me as far as pushing myself all the way to the brink. Straining on the little things. In practice, he'll make me go back if I'm not straining. So taking that into the game, strain on your rush. The rush is never over kind of deal. He's very detailed, and he wants D-linemen that can put the quarterback on the ground. So he stresses that a lot, and also stresses stopping the run. So he's just a guy that is going to push you all the way to that wall and past it.
With you and Chris lining up on the same side a lot today, do you just feel that the sky's the limit for y'all just together to do it?
Yeah, I mean, playing with a guy that is going to be a Hall of Famer one day and trying to work off of him is just an advantage for me. And, I mean, it's going to be good.
Injuries are part of the deal. It looked like Nick Bolton hurt his wrist today. What have you seen from him, and how important has he been?
Yeah, Nick is one of the best linebackers I've ever been around. And that's saying something, because I've been around a couple of them boys, they're legit. So Nick is right there with him. I think Nick's a great leader. Nick is a great communicator. He has a lot on his plate out there, so I salute him for making those checks, calls, and getting everybody situated. I hope that everything goes well with him and his injury or whatever it is, because we definitely need him out there.
Last one in the back. I know we've been talking about it a lot, but you mentioned during the 6 weeks, just taking time, staying in shape and whatnot. But is there something that maybe you took away or learned about yourself during that time that maybe you wouldn't have if you were here?
Yeah, no, that's probably the best question today. I learned that, and I think everybody can kind of take this in. You got to trust in God's plan. I never in my life would have imagined ever missing 6 games. That's a lot. But in that time, in the time of trial, I learned that, not everything is going to always go exactly how you planned it, but however it goes, you got to make a way. And if you stay in prayer, you'll come out a better person. And I think these 6 weeks have helped me grow as an individual. And today, after the sack, I was just thanking God and knowing that, did I predict the sack today? No, but I felt like I was going to have a good game because just of all the path I've had to walk for 6 weeks has been a path of trusting and believing in any obstacle, anything that was thrown my way, any kind of just evil that might have been coming or any type of negative energy. Just keeping the prayer and trusting God, it all worked out. I'm happy, and I'm probably the happiest I've ever been in my life, to be honest. Thank you.
Some really interesting, good stuff there from Charles Omenihu. A lot of big picture stuff, a lot of things that he learned and dealt with being out for 6 games. And I mean, look, that's a suspension handed down for the reason that we talked about some at the time. It's not great, but interesting to hear his view from the other side of it now. And immediately brought huge dividends for the Chiefs today. And it's got to make you really excited for the front four the rest of the way. I can't wait to see this Chiefs defense continue to evolve. It's awesome. You also heard at the beginning of the segment that call from Jim Nantz alluding to the fact that Dante Hall was being inducted into the Chiefs Ring of Honor today, was it, at halftime. And right around all of those festivities, the X Factor himself, the human joystick, spent a little time with some of the media who was out there at the game today. And the first voice you'll hear, I believe, is our own Stephen St. John's as Dante Hall talked to the media the day he was inducted into the Chiefs Ring of Honor.
Dante, what did this honor mean to you?
Everything. It meant everything. I think the greatest part about this honor is getting everyone that I love the most in one general area. And having my kids to be able to witness that, I just really can't even put it in words.
How about having so many of your former teammates here? Maybe tell us some of those conversations and what that was like.
Yeah, so I've been partying with those guys all week, which is why my voice sounds the way it sounds. So Friday and Saturday were for the teammates. Today is all about the family.
I mean, when you see your name on the facade of the stadium,
Literally had chills running through my body. The emotions were overwhelming. I just tried to just keep it compartmentalized and just keep it within, but definitely felt it. And the love from the fans as well.
Do you ever dream of a day like that? Or
I'm gonna be honest with you, I never did. I was just happy to be drafted, happy to have had the career I had, and I was good. I wanted my biggest legacy to be, fatherhood. I got 4 kids, so that's really what I'm striving to be, the best dad. So this is just icing with the candles on top.
What did Dick Vermeil mean to you?
Everything. He just texted me, by the way.
What did he say?
He just texted me. He said, what did he say? He said, Dante, an honor that you earned the old-fashioned way by working hard. Proud of you as well as loving you. Coach V.
Do you remember your rookie season when there was a lot of noise about whether to keep you or another?
Do I?
Tell me what you
J.J.
remember.
Moses was the other guy.
Yeah, when that was the second year. So my first year, as he said, definitely heard the noise, felt it. I had never had a season at any level that awful, that bad ever in my career. I was inactive after week 5. I really thought it was over. I started looking for other options outside of football, trying to figure out what I was going to do because I thought I was going to be one and done. And then I come back and I'm battling with JJ Moses. And at the time, my attitude probably wasn't the best, a little chip on my shoulder, and JJ was beloved. But it worked out.
What do you think Dick Vermeil saw in you at that time?
That's a great question. Listening to Al Saunders, I guess they had Isaac King before and a Lionel Jenkins before. So they saw something in me I never saw in myself, especially when they said I had to move from running back to wide receiver. But thank God he saw it.
So many highlight reel plays. Do you have a favorite?
Oh, yeah. My hands down favorite play is a 5-yard catch versus the Broncos, the step back, spin around, up the sideline. I just think it's aesthetically pretty good, but also it's meaningful because at that time I felt like the coaches started putting me and getting me more involved within the offense. Changed everything for me.
You were part of some great battles against the Broncos. Things are different now. They lost 16 in a row to the Chiefs, and they play them again next year. How much pride do you take in that?
A lot of pride. Spanking those donkeys as we should. Yeah, it's crazy. I saw that stat last week that I don't think Patrick and this team has ever lost to the Broncos the way it should be.
You ever sit back and watch this offense and dream what you could do with Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback?
Every Sunday, I literally sit, and because obviously Patrick Mahomes should get not all, but he should get the bulk of the credit. He's generationally great. But I'm watching it as a play designer, Eric Bieniemy, Coach Andy Reid, and I'm like, wow, the concepts in which they run routes and how it's fluid and you can adjust is just phenomenal. I see myself in this offense. I could have been Tyreek Hill Jr.
Dante, you've been out of the league a little while. What is the 45-year-old self tell the younger Dante Hall?
Oh, great question. Man, that's a great question, man. What do I tell? I really don't go back and think. I think everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. If anything, wow. I'm gonna be honest with you. Nothing. I think I love my journey, the good and the bad.
Dante, as a route runner, how do you compare what Travis is doing now to what it was like to run routes with Tony?
Yeah, so Tony, it was all timing. The offense we played in, 5 steps mean you have to be at a certain point when you're supposed to be there. That was it. There was no adjustment. It was either be there or you throw it away. So to see these guys able to kind of just flow and fill out each other is unbelievable. Tony, I think, definitely could have did it. I just don't know if Trent had the mobility that Patrick has, so not sure how that would have worked out.
Yeah, and what is, you're part of the alumni group, you're part of the ambassador. What has that group done for you since your post-playing?
Everything as far as post-career, because it keeps you involved. Keeps you involved with the team, with the community, business, local businesses, and your teammates. And from there, everything kind of just keeps growing from there. So being a part of the ambassador program has been amazing.
Congratulations.
Sweet. Thank you guys so much.
Some awesome stuff there from Dante Hall on the day he's inducted into the Ring of Honor, explaining why his voice sounds that way, the lessons learned, looking back on the experience. Really, really good stuff there from a man who truly, in so many ways, stands alone in Chiefs history. Great to see guys like that get honored that way. Really, an incredible human highlight reel, of course, of a career. But the human joystick, maybe my favorite of the nicknames. Might be my favorite nickname in football history. That's a big, I'm not going to knock that answer in. There's a lot of good ones, but that's certainly hard to beat. Certainly also hard to beat the Chiefs today for the Los Angeles Chargers. I'll tell you again what I said at the beginning of the show. If you have not yet begun printing your AFC West 2023 championship t-shirts, you may as well start now. The hats, the pennants, the hoodies, whatever. Of course, in the NFL, when you're this team, you've got bigger goals than that. We're all going to hopefully see this team have a chance to host another AFC championship game. Another chance for back-to-back Super Bowls, in fact. But today, the Chiefs, with another game to be played before Halloween. Another divisional game at that. Like Matt Derrick said just a little bit ago, if you're a sports book right now, go ahead and pay out those odds. Pay out those bet slips. See if you can get the people to place their wagers on something else. Because this AFC West is shut down right now, even as the AFC maybe even begins to heat up. The Baltimore Ravens look spectacular today, and just a moment ago, the Miami Dolphins had a defensive touchdown, a pick six, to tie things up with the Philadelphia Eagles. 4 minutes left in the third quarter. We'll bring you the rest of that here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thanks for being a part of the Postgame Show. For Dylan Michaels and Covell Hudson, I am Joshua Brisco. We'll be back again next week to do all this again for another AFC West opponent, but it doesn't matter because the division's already wrapped up. Bye, Mom.